All right. This is us live on YouTube. How about that? On what day is today? April 6th, 2022. Today is Wednesday? I'm so lost. Today is Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. And we are live in the Discord universe. More moo, Bell. We got the moo, the cows mooing now, and Cowbell. Cows mooing and Cowbell. How about that? That's all we have for you guys. But now we're gonna hit the intro. It's gonna be. I'm gonna take 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll shut it down short. But let's hit this.
Call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom.
So trippy, so trippy. I had two audios running. I was listening in the watch page. I go like, what the hell is going on here? I thought that when I opened the audio from the top, the one in the bottom canceled, but no, that ain't the case. Here we go. Oh, I didn't push it. It just came out. I kind of pushed it a little bit. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to the Boom. My name is Jose Gonzalez, and I am here to give you a place, a platform for people. I'm here to give you a platform to come in and hang out with us on the Discord server, the Daily Boom, and in the YouTube chat box. We got two animals going at the same time. We got an animal going on the YouTube chat box. You should do the YouTube chat box, and we got an animal going down here whenever in a few minutes when I join the Discord server, the Boom, because we have a voice thing going on there. And also in the YouTube, in the Discord server, we got the chat box inside where we can put images and responsible trolling also. That's good. I appreciate everybody being here. Update. There is more cow and there is more cowbell. For those who want to listen, then you must hit that super chat. Super chat. Once you use it, you will get cow, you will get cowbell, lots of it, and I cannot wait for it to happen. Now, it might be a little lag in between the chat box when the super chats show up first until we hear the cow and the cowbell. Well, we got to figure that out, and that's up to you to support the channel by doing so. Also, there's another way to support the channel, and it's hitting me up on PayPal, and the link is pinned up there on the YouTube chat box. It's somewhere in there, pinned above, right there, dark blue, or in the description box under this video. You can find a PayPal link, and if you cannot support, the best way to do so is hit the like, hit the thumbs up. So if you're watching this live or recorded, you hit the thumbs up now, and that's why YouTube like when people do the thumbs up, and that way my video get pushed up in the recommendation list. So please support by thumb up under this video. Share the show and all those shenanigans. Check on the Discord server, the Daily Boom. I'm gonna go ahead over there. Let's do it. Oh, I'm gonna do it. Here we go. Cannot get this to work. And here we are. I think this has been a successful exchange between servers. That was a little private server I got to save my goodies. Oh, did we get a cow? Did we get cowbell? Hold on. We got a super chat. I just got a monitor over here. Whenever I see the notification, we should get cowbell. We might talk, but the cowbell will talk over us, and that is indeed definitely. Lale, hit me up with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Lale. I like platforms because they are flat, level, and horizontal. And they should... Oh! Cows and cowbells. I think that was beautiful. Now you guys got to give me the feedback on YouTube, because unless, before I holler at you guys over here in Discord, just give me a few seconds, because I need to, there you go. I got to hear this. Oh. There you go. That was beautiful. We got Cowbell every time the super chat hit us. Thank you guys for being here. We got Farmer's Boy, Leo, and the Stingray. Stingray, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a bit. Welcome back, Farmer and Leo. Boom.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo.
You didn't read the super chat.
You like flat platforms because they are flat, level, and horizontal. They got the three conspicuous items necessary to be a non-glober.
Yep. Can you model that for me, Stingray?
Got the Stingray.
Your bitch or something.
I hope everything is going good with Stingray. He took a leave of absence, and he's still in a leave of absence. He's just lurking in the background, but he's welcome to jump in at any time.
Hi, Farmer's Boy.
Hello, Lyle. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Can we be droney together?
No.
No? Okay. How's the Frogtopia going, Jose?
What?
Frogtopia.
Flatopia.
No.
Frogtopia.
Frogtopia. Good. Yeah, how dare I? I didn't shout out to mini tiny Earth. I didn't shout out to small Earth, to rumbling Earth, and squeaky Earth with frogs in it. Are you ready for the squeaky Earth? Mob it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about you, baby frog? Mob it. Okay. Oh, you sound better today. Mob it. What are you talking about, mama frog? Okay, here we go. Oh, wait. Oh shit, we lost a leg. I'm gonna stick that leg in there. We gotta stick it. There you go. Now we're talking about that. This is such a mess, man. In the beginning, they used to be just sitting there, chilling, just attending the show. And now they're just like, they don't give it 3 fucks anymore, man. What's going on over here? Go, I think we get. Yeah. They're washing the computer. Perfect.
Does the Coriolis effect affect those frogs?
There's Coriolis effect, there's gravity, there's conservation of momentum, there's this pulling and the pushing for effects, you know. There's a lot of shit going on, a lot of physics taking
The ether?
place. There's no ether, no ether in that one.
Don't be daft.
Yeah.
Ether.
But no, I can't think of the name. No Coriolis.
Edfos.
Centrifugal.
Centrifugal. Yeah, centrifugal. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
The
I have a
Edfos
question.
effect.
I have a question for you, the panel. If we're in a thing at the fair and the spinny room and it sticks us to the wall,
Yes.
that's centrifugal force, right?
Correct.
How come if the Earth rotates, we don't have the same sensation as that?
Well, the centrifugal force imparted by the Earth rotating isn't quite as extreme as you get in the fair ride. Plus, it's offset by the force of gravity.
Well,
Because gravity's pulling us down towards center of mass. Centrifugal force is trying to throw us away from center of mass, and yeah, they pretty much balance each other out.
Are you saying because the Earth is so large in comparison to that ride that we would not feel it, but if it was the same size as the ride, then we would?
Probably, yeah. But the Earth is really, really big.
Really?
And comparatively is turning very, very slowly.
We standing here on Earth, are we experiencing centrifugal and centripetal forces? Us humans.
Yes.
I don't feel any of that.
Well, no, you won't, because our bodies have evolved and we have adapted to the environment we find ourselves in. So you don't notice it. You would notice if something changed, but because it's all constant, the Earth rotating at a constant speed, we're quite used to it. That and the fact it's really not that fast anyway. I mean, 15 degrees an hour.
Centrifugal is the one trying to throw me away.
So, yeah, centrifugal force is the one that tries to throw you away.
And centripetal
is the one that's going against that and pulling you back. Centripetal force is an actual force. Centrifugal force and gravity are apparent forces. They're an effect of something else. But we're used to it. We've evolved, like I say, to live in these surroundings we find ourselves, and the movement and the motions of the planet. And because it's all constant, we don't notice it. If it sped down and if it slowed down and sped up, we'd notice that.
What if the speed up was like, let's say, to 16 degrees per hour? Would it throw us off then?
No, probably not. We notice more extreme changes in velocity, acceleration. We notice acceleration. We don't notice constant speed. I mean, anyone who's been on a fast-moving train or has flown, the aircraft gets up to altitude. Chances are it's doing 500 mile an hour. But as far as you're concerned, it's not really moving because you don't notice it, and you can get up and wander down the cabin and go and take a pee and all the rest of it, because you're all moving at this nice, steady, constant speed.
More cowbell. We're asking for more cowbell. You guys know where to go.
We need more cowbell.
So say like we wake up in the morning and instantaneously the Earth is now rotating at 20 degrees per hour. Would we feel that?
If it suddenly changed?
Yeah, instantaneously, like in 1 second it changed to 20 degrees per hour. Would we feel that?
You might. I'm not entirely sure about that, because that's still, when you think about it, that's not that huge a change, is it? From 15 degrees an hour, which is...
It's huge. You'll go through the wall. Certainly. If it's instantaneous. Just see how much is the difference in tangential velocity to your latitude.
Angry Dog say that not sure if not so sure at that evolving into not feeling it, because astronauts adapt to totally different conditions. It's more like our senses just aren't capable to feel it.
Yeah, that's also probably a product of evolution. We don't need to feel it. Why would you need to? Why would you need to feel the speed at which the Earth's rotating? Half the speed of the hour hand on your clock.
But it's something that's happening all the time that we just don't have even to be aware of. It's like
our body senses aren't adapted to feel it, to sense it.
But it's like breathing, Farmer's Boy. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to just do anything extra. But if we think about it, we can feel ourselves. We know that we are breathing because we do it. We do it.
You can hold your breath. You can make yourself stop breathing. And this I recall seeing somewhere. Parents asking, they got problems with their little kids, and when they go into a sulk, they hold their breath. And they said, well, what do we do? And the advice was, well, fine, let them. If they're really good at holding their breath, at some point they'll pass out, and then their body will automatically start breathing for them, because it's an autonomic process. You don't have to think about breathing. What happens when you go to sleep? Your body keeps breathing. So if you have your breath to the point you passed out, you'll start breathing again, whether you want to or not.
What would happen if over the course of 6 months from January 1st to June 30th, if the Earth slowly switched rotating, would we feel that? To the opposite direction?
Lale, Joe, thank you for bringing it home. Today, what it was supposed to do that? We were supposed to talk about what if things happen, like what if the Earth stopped rotating? That's a good way to start. Let's start with that one. But you are requesting the Earth to stop rotating slowly, start rotating slower and slower until it stops.
No,
Go ahead,
not
man.
till it stops, till it starts rotating the opposite direction.
So must stop at some point. It's got to stop to switch to the other side.
Would we be able to feel that though? Do you think, Farmer's Boy?
Who want to take it? Who want to go first?
I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of like John Watson. He lives in a tree, so he can't really feel the tree anymore. But when he hops out of the tree and gets back in, then he can feel it again. But anyways, back to the stationary. I mean, the rotating Earth. Yeah, I got fewer and more cowbells.
So what if the Earth starts slowing down the rotation until it just flips and start rotating to the other side? That's good. Anybody want to think like that, dude? That's
No.
kind of one of the that's what dude. But farmers, when you look for videos about weird stuff about the behavior of Earth in the big scale and the universe and all of that, half of the things that you're gonna find, if not more of the half of the things, are what if this happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? Dude, this is one of those examples. I bet there's 20 at least documentaries and videos about what if the Earth just starts spinning, just slow down and stop turning. Why don't you want to entertain this? Why do you want to give an idea what will happen?
We'll have 365 days long day. Well,
Maybe Stingray can model it for us and see what would happen.
Would it be an event that will like end humanity, human life? Would it be would something like that happen? That's my question.
if that happened, probably all die.
You say if that happens, we will probably die?
Yeah.
No.
Night for half a year. Yeah, we'll die.
Now I need some explanation. Or you just saying that we'll die if that happens? What is your logic behind it?
Because one side of the Earth will always face the sun and will get hot, while the other side get cold.
Wait, what? You understand that, Leo?
No, because it's still rotating over that course. It's still rotating. So
365 days, not much, Late. One degree per day.
Then
In nautical miles, right?
yeah, so it will the sun will it will be longer days for a small period of time, longer and longer and longer days, and then it would just normalize back again because it will start rotating to the other side. So instead of going clockwise, it will go counterclockwise.
Why would it rotate counterclockwise?
What?
so what if? I don't know. It wouldn't, but if it did,
Theoretically, it can stop rotating, but rotating to the other side now.
our days would be really messed up. Kyle Wilson, new person. I've never seen that.
For it to stop rotating, it needs to lose energy. To start rotating the other way, it needs to gain energy.
We got Kyle. Kyle, he's checking on the microphone. Kyle, what do you think, man?
I think there's a couple people who already kind of started going this way. But yeah, I think would definitely not be good. I think the question here would be how fast does it flip? Is it gradual, or is it going to be right away? And really, in either case, it's not going to be good. If it happens right away, then we have a whole bunch of people that are going to be flung in all different directions. And then if it's gradual, we are going to basically slow down to the point where we are going to end up tidally locked, even just for a little bit. But at that point, you can have one side of the Earth that's going to be constantly feeling the heat of the sun, and the other half is going to be feeling none of it. Basically, there's really only a ring habitable area right around where sunrise and sunset would be. And then it would go back the other way, and it would kind of go back to normal. But that period of time where it would have that tidal locking effect would still have happened, and the damage would be done.
Let's say it happens in, a few days, 2 or 3 days. I mean, it's one rotation per day. Because seen as if I just put myself outside the Earth, and Earth is just a game like pool balls, the pool game, pool table ball, like that size. I could barely see the Earth rotating. I gotta just look at it. I say like, yeah, it's rotating very slowly. So I'm just gonna stop it right here, and I'm gonna start rotating the other side so slowly. That will be an hard stop. That's what you would call a hard stop if I just stop it and then start rotating the other side. I don't know, but that's seeing it from the outside as a third person. But if I'm here on Earth, I think it just could slow down in 2 or 3 days, just to slow, and then we're gonna see the sun with the sunrise, and when it's at noon, I say like, whoa, what's going on with the sun? It's going the other side, and it's gonna set whatever it rose from the same spot it rose, and then it will happen the opposite way. I don't think nothing will happen. I don't think humans will be affected whatsoever. Just what we see will change in the skies. But go ahead. Anybody else? Leo, you agree that we will, I don't know, we will feel odd, like a little iffy, itchy, like something is off, man. Feels the daylight, the sun is just going so slow, it's burning off for like 48 hours for the first day or two, and then it will feel normal.
I guess so. If it rotated at 13 degrees per hour, would we feel the difference in the sun then? Not even changing the rotation of the Earth to the opposite direction, but just 13 degrees per hour. Would that increase the amount of sun in a particular region?
The question is for the panel. If instead of the Earth rotating at 15 degrees per hour, it will just something cataclysmic happen, universal, and then it's just rotating 13 degrees per hour. Will that make a big difference on us, on humanity?
I disagree.
It wasn't a disagree question. It's a question of, would you feel it? Would you notice it?
Sorry, I just came
Sure
in.
you would.
I was disagreeing with the last thing that Jose said that nothing would happen. If it was over, if the Earth slowed down and started rotating in the other direction in a matter of a few days, first of all, nothing really happens in the universe in just a matter of a few days.
It's not a few days. It would be over 6 months.
Well, that's what Jose said. If it was over 6 months,
Yeah, I
okay,
say that.
it's a
Yeah.
different story. Usually these things take thousands of years okay. But if it happened over a few days, we would have mega hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes with the reversal.
Why would
Slowdown
that
is over.
be? What would that be? Give me some science behind it. I don't understand why that would happen.
Because the Coriolis would be all screwed up. It would start. I wouldn't be surprised if it caused some hurricanes, especially if it started rotating the other direction. I don't know if it took 6 months. That would still be. I think that would be catastrophic. Now, if it took 1,000 years, no problem.
What if you woke up in the morning tomorrow morning and the Earth was rotating at 13 degrees per hour? Would we be able to feel that? We could probably notice it by the sun, but if we were just in our bedrooms and woke up, would we be able to feel it?
By 2 degrees, yeah, I think that's pretty. And within a few hours, yeah, that's pretty extreme. Like we had that earthquake, the earthquake that affected Thailand and Indonesia. Was that 2006, 2005? That affected the Earth's rotation by like a second a day or something like that. But if you're saying what if you lived on Jupiter and the rotation is every 10 hours? That's going really fast.
We're gonna go back to the Earth slowdown, and I'm gonna wanna present something for the audience in order for us to get into that boat. If not, it's gonna be just a story that just came out of your mouth. The Earth slowed down for like a second. I call bullshit. Go ahead, back it up, man.
It's in the Bible.
If the Earth slowed down,
So you were
we would
Sorry,
experience.
Gotti. I gotta
exactly
call
what
the
we're
bullshit of this guy. Gotti, I gotta finish calling the bullshit of this guy. So it's bullshit, bro, Adam. Thank you very much for accepting that.
Yeah, it was in the Bible. The sun stopped for a day, something like that.
You say you mentioned some kind of a volcano or something that happened just recently, and you say that the Earth slowed down.
I think if the Earth changed its rotation drastically within a matter of few days, I think it would cause some mega storms.
But you say that that did happen when this last volcano something erupted.
Oh, yeah, there was a big earthquake in 2005. It affected the Earth's rotation.
And I call bullshit to that, and you still haven't backed up that claim. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
If you are able to present something to back up that claim, that's good. I mean, I can get it. I mean, I can entertain it, but as for right now, I'm entertaining it. As for it's some kind of a bullshit that you're saying.
Okay, stand by.
Go ahead, Gary. What was that about? Well, you were saying, hold on, Gary. Gary was just.
I said if the Earth slowed down, we'd experience exactly what we experience now because it isn't moving. And he'll come up probably in a little while and say, yeah, it slowed down 1/trillionth of a second.
Yeah,
6.8. Yeah.
I don't know why is that funny?
Yeah, and it was 6.8 microseconds.
Because he's an idiot.
Thank you.
Also, it wasn't like a
something you
second.
could never prove.
Exactly. So it wasn't like a second. It wasn't like the first claim that you made, Alim, like a second. That's why I was questioning that. I mean, if it's microseconds by the thousands of the millions, I mean that's a nonsense. Nobody's going to be able to measure that unless you are these big shots with the big machines that only 1 or 2 people got them. Okay, got it.
What would be the margin of error in there?
Yeah, a trillionth or a quadrillionth of a second.
What was the question? If the Earth slowed down?
By you woke up in the morning and the Earth's rotation was at 13 degrees per hour instead of 15. Would you be able to feel that? Not notice it, because you'd definitely be able to look outside and it would be different.
Yeah, no, well, you've said its angular velocity decreases. If I can't feel the motion now, why would I feel motion with it decrease?
Amen.
It would have. It would have. given there is a study on human perturbation motion analysis in a sample set, which dictates the acceleration that human beings can feel. And I think I worked out that this was, don't quote me on this because this was like 6 months ago, but I worked out the Earth would have to spin, I think, it was either 4 or 7.5, I know it's a bit weird, times quicker for us to be able to slightly notice it, and it would only be within the top 10 percentile of people that can notice acceleration.
Well, if the Earth's rotation was to go to 13 degrees per hour, wouldn't the days be longer?
Well, yeah, but you don't feel the day's length.
Right. So you would be able to, in some respects, you'd be able to feel because the days would be longer, so the sun would be out more, and you'd feel the heat longer.
Yeah, my days are always really long and don't conform to 24 hours anyway, so it wouldn't make a blind shit of a difference to me.
But if it's sped up tomorrow to like 17 degrees per hour, we wouldn't feel that either, right?
No.
Are you saying it would have to speed up to like 60 degrees per hour?
Like I said, if you want to go get the figures on this, there is one survey out there that sampled 100 people. Well, it was either 100 or 75. This is 6 months. Well, longer than 6 months ago, and it measured the perception of acceleration, and we're on about acceleration that we can feel, and it would have. I think I worked out it was either 4 or 7 times as much for the top 10 percentile to be able to even feel that we are rotating.
I posted the link for you, Jose. It's also, it was 6.8 millionths of a second, the Sumatra earthquake in 2004, and then a earthquake in Chile was an 8.8, and it was the 5th strongest ever recorded. It shortened the Earth's day by 1.26 millionths of a second, which means it's speeding up.
I'm not gonna be able to watch this. I'm not gonna put my email address there. Fuck that.
And it changed the axis by 33 feet. 33 alert.
So
bullshit.
What was that? What was that amount? The time that it decreased the speed. 6 millionths.
2004 was 6.8 millionths, and then the 2010 Chile earthquake was 1.26 millionths of a second.
So 6.8 millionths of a second. We're gonna go that's kind of a smaller number for scale. Now, 6.8 millionths of a second. That means that you must split 1 second in 7 million. In how much you split the second? How does that even work? How is that even measurable? Who can measure that? Who measured that?
We have a nanosecond is 1 millionth. Yeah, that's a millionth of a second is a nanosecond, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
No, it's a microsecond.
Micro. So what's a nano?
Nanosecond is a billionth of a second.
Okay, so
picosecond is a trillionth of a second.
Yeah, so we have these, just like we have really big numbers, we also have really small numbers.
And of course, nobody could ever prove any of that. So here we go.
Yeah, I think.
And of course, we can measure that all the time. Easily measure it, Gary.
Okay, blue. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think measurement-wise, as for building, as for scale or size, as for measurement of size, I think that is something that is, easier measured than something with time. That is there a tool that any of us over here can get a hold of to measure this big amount, this broken down in this amount of millionths of a second? Is there anything available for regular peer people to break seconds in that level? I don't even know how to ask that question.
I think it's quite possible to do that yourself if you've got the time and the determination to do it. You don't measure it for a day. You measure it for a year. Then you're not measuring a millionth of a second. You're measuring 365 millionths of a second. It's a much easier measurement to make.
Still bullshit.
Not understanding it doesn't make it bullshit, Gary. And no, you can't do it with a handful of rubber bands and a couple of nails. You do need some actual scientific equipment to do it, but it can be done.
That was funny, brother. That was funny, Gary. You gotta take that. Hey, big shout out to the YouTube chat box, please. Hit the like. Hold on. Hit the like now. And where's the cowbell? We had a cowbell earlier, one super chat, but we need more cowbell. We need a super chat over here. Question, comments, concerns. Let's do it. I don't know, but Blue, in this sense of measuring millions of a second, I'm leading more of agreeing with Gary. I don't know. I can call bullshit. I mean, I don't have anything to back up I'm calling bullshit to it, but I'm just calling bullshit just to be contrarian.
We have this invention called nuclear clocks. I think they use cesium,
but Gary has a better point because Gary can
precise.
Gary had a better point because he got rubber bands and nails. That was great.
Hey, I want to recommend Tiny Captain's video of my rubber band video. It's excellent. You got to watch it. It's really funny.
Aye.
He puts it to banjo music. It's great. It was quite funny. Tiny Captain.
All right. I think it was answered. My request was answered, and we got a super chat. We're about to get some cowbells and cows. Gary has to lie to Flurf. That is from Anamorphic Mind for $2. More cowbell. It's going on YouTube. You guys can't hear it, but it's going on. Thank you.
I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time driving down the road because the horizon up ahead keeps bending up and down every time I move my eyes. You know, it's like fish eyes.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Stay off the drugs, Gary.
Too late.
Shout out to the cowbells. You guys heard that on YouTube? I hope you did.
Hey, did you guys watch Sly's video on me?
No, I don't care that much about you, so I didn't watch it.
I did.
No,
I did. That was.
No, it was Sly's video on me, not mine. I'm not asking. Okay, and then you notice how the corners that he said it would stay in the corners, and it didn't, even in his fisheye. Just funny.
Yeah, because the camera was tilted, but you know.
Yeah, but he said it would stay in the corners, and that it would arc either up or down in the middle, but it would stay in the corners, and it didn't even do it on his fisheye lens.
But it does stay in the corners. Just the example gave, the example he gave, and the video he showed wasn't aligned correctly.
I know it wasn't because he showed the little arrows, and it didn't stay in the center like he claimed it would.
No, it does that. Just in his video, wasn't showing that. But it did it in a way, not perfectly, because it was a little misaligned. But that's what happens with a fisheye lens. Or you're saying
I know that's what happens with the fisheye. His point was that he said that your eye is like a GoPro, and that if you point your eyes slightly down below the horizon, that the corners would stay the same, and it would arc upward if you put your eyes down, or then the opposite if you put your eyes up. He said the arc would go the opposite way of which way you tipped your eyes, but he said the corners of your eyes would stay the same with the horizon, but it didn't even do that in his video with his fisheye lens or his half 360 view.
But he had an argument, right? I mean, it happens, but that happens, right?
Yeah, it actually did.
No, it doesn't happen. You see a straight line regardless. Doesn't matter because it's all about how your eyes interpret angles. It has nothing to do with being a fisheye lens. Your eyes don't even at all resemble a fisheye lens. He makes it up.
Well, you can say it didn't, Gary, but it did do exactly what Sly said it would do.
No, not even his own fisheye lens didn't even stay in the middle.
Absolutely, it did. Yes, it did.
No, look at his little arrows. He's got the arrows pointing at the center, and it goes way below the arrows when he puts the camera up.
I know you like to be a pedantic fuck about everything, but and yes, it wasn't perfect, but it did predominantly.
Oh, so you admit it wasn't. You said it wasn't.
I admit that you're being a pedantic fuck about it, Gary. That's what I admit.
No, you just said it wasn't perfect. In other words, it didn't stay at center.
Dipshit is what I'm.
No, I wasn't yelling at you. Why are you getting so upset? Because you know what happened. You know what happened in that video.
You appear to be upset.
You're starting to yell.
You appear to be there.
I have to yell to get over you, Blue.
Wow.
One of these days you're going to have a stroke on the show.
That's the only thing you do. I don't really think so, Gary.
Yeah, you will. One of these days you'll have a stroke on the show.
No, I don't think so, Gary.
Are you guys talking about
the one that's upset here?
Rotation?
I don't understand it.
All right, let's. I let you guys get it out. Let's just go back to talk and let talk. I think we can do this.
I see the thumbnail in Jose's video. Are y'all talking about measuring the Earth's rotation or whatever?
We were asking, will we feel if we wake up, we go to sleep, we wake up and something feels off? My body itches. I say, it's fucking hot, man. The sun appears not to be moving. So we realized that the Earth rotation slowed down. Now it's not rotating at 15 degrees per hour. It will be rotating at 13 degrees per hour. It will be slower rotation of the Earth. Will we feel that, Lemon Bird?
I think we feel something. That's what I would suspect. If it's 13 degrees of rotation an hour, we'd also see it because the day would be like longer. Clocks would register like a 26-hour day or whatever. The day would be longer by 15 divided by 13, whatever that is, as the factor for how much longer it would be. So that's like 1/6 or something like that. So it would be like a 6 longer.
We need more Cowbell. We got a super chat of $5 by Anamorphic Mind. Thank you very much, Anamorphic Mind. Per Gary, and I quote, I don't care if 99.999% of people think I'm wrong. I'm not. Maybe stop being wrong all the time for a change, Gary. Shout out to Anamorphic Mind. We will feel it, but right now, today, we don't feel the Earth rotation. We can observe the Earth rotation as for if we look something as simple as a sunrise and sunset, but we don't feel it, Lemon. So you think we will feel as for like our senses tell us if we're not looking up to the skies? You think that we will feel the Earth rotation slow down?
Yeah, you'd have like a 27-hour day. So the day would be longer by 3 hours. Most people would know that since it would throw off all of our schedules. Like the sun lingering in the sky 3 additional hours or whatever, half of that.
Lemon Bird, like I said earlier, we'd feel the sun heating the Earth for a longer period of time, but we wouldn't actually feel the Earth rotating slower. We wouldn't notice that, is what Stingray was saying.
Well, if you go from 15 degrees per hour to 13 degrees per hour, you're going to have a 27-hour day based off of 15 divided by 13 times 24. So that's going to lead to a longer day, which will be seen visually, one would assume, and be felt also physically. The weather patterns would probably be off because you're baking the Earth a little bit longer. Other things would probably be thrown out of whack as well, but who knows? Maybe it would make no difference if you go from 15 to 13 degrees per hour.
We're defining differences in feeling. Yes, you'd feel the heat of the day longer, but you would not actually feel the Earth itself rotating at a slower rate.
I disagree with how you're using feeling. I don't feel the day's length. I observe it and I can measure it, I can estimate it, I can judge it. The one thing I don't think I can do is feel the day's length. And don't get me wrong, I do. Obviously, there will be effects of a slowdown, like Lemon just said, a longer day. We can observe these effects. Can we feel them? No.
Do you have feelings?
You're misrepresenting what I said.
Hold on, Leel. Hey, Leel, a good question to big shout out to Blue. Blue has to do some stuff. Thank you, Blue, for coming in. Do you even have feelings, Stingray?
Only when I choose to.
Thank you. Go ahead, Leel.
You're misrepresenting what I said. You'd feel the heat of the sun for longer periods of time, but you would not feel the Earth's rotation slow down.
Well,
That's what I
that
said.
would depend. That would depend on where I was and if I moved at the same time that this happened. Again, that's an observation that the temperature of a day. I don't think it'd make that much of a huge difference to the equilibrium of the temperature of the planet.
Well, I mean, to keep everything proportional, you'd have to multiply everything mathematically anyway, times that new factor of 15 over 13 or 1.15. So your hour-long 60-minute show would now have to be, 69 minutes to take up the same amount of proportional time for more or less the same day proportionally, if you're going to go mathematic. That would typically.
You just cut out Lemon Bird.
I think people would notice if their show was 9 minutes longer from 60 minutes to 69 minutes to keep it taking up the same proportional amount of the day. If you're going with 15 versus 13 degrees for a day.
But physically, I wouldn't be able to feel it. At the moment, given the current model and current science, if I can't feel, let's say on the equator, the place where we would feel the most effect. If I can't feel half a percent of less weight, and I'm way too heavy at the moment, I need to lose weight, but let's say I'm 17 and a bit stone, I can't actually notice that I'm 0.5% lighter of my body weight, which I would be at the equator as opposed to the north. So what we're asking is, would I notice a 0.06% change in the 0.5% change that I couldn't notice anyway? And I wouldn't be able to feel it, but I would observe all the effects, yeah, obviously.
Stingray, are you saying that when you go to the equator and you weigh 200 pounds less, you can't feel that?
200 pounds less? How fucking heavy do you think I am?
I'm just kidding, Stingray.
Jesus Christ. I'm not a blue whale, Lyle.
If the Earth kept its same circumference, it would be rotating at 866 miles for like a 13 degree per hour rotation at the equator as opposed to 1,000. One would expect to feel the Earth's sudden jerk and slow down from like 1,000 to 866 miles, one would assume, at the equator anyway.
If it jerked, I don't know. It would depend on the change over time, accumulated deceleration, as to whether we'd feel it. We'd have to work it out. I still suspect not. It would have to be an instantaneous thing. And I honestly, if you said to me, oh, by the way, you suddenly, all in a fraction of a second, let's say half a second, in half a second, you're going to feel 0.06% of your body weight laterally as a force. I can probably create more force shaking my head.
Or the Earth doesn't move, and at best the ether gently swirls over us and causes what we call this Bob-nodal gyro drift. I'd probably just go with the swirling ether over the flat, motionless Earth as opposed to the moving,
I know. The
swirling,
lemoniferous ether.
rotating Earth.
Lemoniferous ether does whatever you need it to do, whenever you need it to do, however you need to do it, but you have no proof of it.
Sort of like gravity.
No, we can prove gravity.
No, actually, a lot like the dark matter and dark energy.
Gravity just seems so mystical. It reaches out without pushing, grabs an object like a tractor beam, and somehow pulls it to the center of mass. It's just mystical and kind of absurd. What force do you know of that's a one-way action like that? Usually forces have a push and a pull of some sort, not just a pull.
Your misunderstanding or your inability to understand the concept is not an argument against it.
Well, I have just enough understanding if I was able to ferret out that obvious falsehood, and people who have studied this stuff for years looked over the forest and didn't see the obvious trees. And that
not a falsehood.
My ignorance is a blessing in disguise, don't you think? That I was able to simply hash out the problem with this theory without years and years of expensive schooling.
Yeah, because it
You
just
know,
shows how stupid you are, sir. Because it doesn't show a falser just because you don't happen to like it. Sorry.
Lemon, push force is quite intuitive, but how do pull forces work?
How do what?
How do pull forces work? What's the mechanism?
It's like a theoretical, like a in your brain only, like a rubber band. Like you got locked a rubber band, like with the moon and the Earth. You got a theoretical rubber band around the Earth and link with the moon. That's what's going on. It's pulling away, but it's pulling and pushing at the same time with that rubber
No,
band. So
I'm not talking
shipping.
about gravity. I'm not talking about gravity. Other forces, magnetism, electrostatic. How does the pull work? I can understand the push, but how does the pull work?
You'd have to talk to people like Ken Wheeler for how magnetism works with its pull. They
I'm
talk
sure he
about
can explain
space
it, right?
flowing into the magnet towards some sort of null point where there's no longer
What?
any push or pull happening, just a zone of
What?
stillness. And that's what makes the
They-
magnet attract. Space
they-
itself, space, counter space flowing like a river toward the center of the magnet, toward the inertial zone of stillness where there's no longer any pushing or pulling, just a zone of inertial stillness.
I know that when a river is flowing towards my center,
More cowbell going on YouTube land. I'm sorry, I gotta holler the cowbell because it will be washing out your audio. So I gotta just announce it anyway. That cowbell means we got a super chat by Slice Bar Kane for 666. Got it. This is for you. Slice Bar Kane says, "Is Gary done being mad because he lied about my statement using a camera which was neither mentioned nor matched my statement?" Are you there? You want to address Sly, Gary? Are you done being mad because you lied about his statement using a camera which was neither mentioned nor matched his statement?
Yeah, I use a camera because it more simulated the eye. I obviously can't show the eye, but it was pretty much the same as what the eye would do versus his GoPro, which curved it so ridiculously that it's obvious it doesn't match what our eyes do. Sly is an idiot. Hey, he's aptly named Sly, like a deceiver, deceitful, Sly. And I made a reply video to his video, and I use his video. Our eyes are not fisheye.
All right. There you go, Sly. There's a video out there for you. Get on it.
And also keep in mind that our eyes are slightly different than a camera, gentlemen. There's at least 4 refractive media within our eyes that could also aid in focusing and seeing things a little bit differently than a camera. We have the aqueous humors, the vitreous humors. This is like oily water and more watery water that's within the eye.
Doesn't matter, Lemon. It's a camera. It's basically
Not to mention the lens itself and the cornea as well. So it looks like our eye has a couple things up on the camera which doesn't have these humors and things like that to help focus.
Lemon, you do know that an average camera lens has, I would say even a simple DSLR lens, at minimum, you will find 8 lens elements. At a maximum, that goes up to something like 30 to 40, and they're set in groups that do very specific things. Just
4 things versus 10 refractive media, if you don't count the air. There are some design drawbacks either way with the eye or the camera. But there are a couple things that our eye has that the camera does not, and vice versa.
Yeah, says the man who wears glasses and still doesn't understand optics. Love it.
Yep. I think our eye was superiorly designed with that in mind. The camera
What? It was designed to wear glasses? So your eye was so well designed that you need men's corrective lenses in order to see properly. That's how well designed the eye was.
Men tend to screw up things with their chemicals and stuff, making children be born with eye problems and stuff like that. Not to mention their abysmal nutrition, which doesn't help any body or eye develop properly with its washed out, cooked out, nutritionless diet. But it is what it is.
So God designed the eye so well that you need men's corrective lenses in order to see properly.
With design come trade-offs. Things are designed to work within a certain range. If you have a nutritionless diet that screws up the eye, that's your problem, not the manufacturer's problem, if you will.
So the the manufacturer, all-knowing manufacturer who would know that we would have a poor diet, designed the eye so that we need corrective lenses in order to see well. Got it, Lemon. Thank you.
As long as you operate within the optimal range, your car is made to go on the road. It's not made to go in the water. The moment you do what the car was not designed for, you're going to have problems. When you have a nutritionalist
So the
diet
eye is
or a
designed to
fallen
see?
world, full of problems, the eye is going to break down,
Oh,
sadly.
so the eye was designed to see, but not see in the modern world because our all-knowing God designed it that way. Got it, Lemon.
No,
The
actually, he designed
designer
them
made
perfectly.
us to be in a certain design parameter.
Got it, Lemon.
He also
all-knowing God.
designed them perfectly, but the fall of man corrupted everything, including your eyesight.
That's true.
That's
Yes.
a new one, Wybanga.
Wow.
You got to stay within the
Just look
design
around you, you can
parameters,
see-
gentlemen.
You can see the fall of man just by looking at the news. Man
I know.
fell.
I see the news every day. I see people that don't know what the hell they're talking about every day.
What is the benefit of watching news every day? It's like a drama story, like watching soap opera every day. There's nothing to get out of it.
Yeah. I'd recommend One America News, Jose. They have a lot of fair and balanced news.
One America News. When Fox News is too far to the left for you, go to the Nazis themselves. One America News.
Easy now. We're not gonna get into politics now and that shit.
Well, you got to get it from both sides. Even I have to sit down and force myself to watch leftist, Marxist propaganda on the news and stuff like that, just to see what these people on the other side are saying, even though I don't find their news fair or balanced in any way, shape, or form.
So who's the leftist news source you see, Lemon?
CNN or...
CNN? CNN is central, pretty much dead. Your One News is, on the other hand... Oh, let me post this, if you can...
Shout out to Tweet in the house. Tweet has got an honest question here. Are you Leil's dad paying us a shield? Boom! Shout out to Tweet.
Hello, Tweet.
Oh, no answer. That might be a yes. All right. Sorry if we get too personal here. We don't want to know that paying us a shield is Leil's dad.
I don't know. How old is Leil?
I mean, maybe old enough to be your son.
I don't know that Leil is my son. Let's put it that way. That's the best I can do.
All right, hey, that's fair. All right, we're gonna stop typing stuff about politics in the YouTube chat box. If something slip out here in the voice chat, I'll try to control it, but we need to delete reticulated spline comment. We need to delete Wolfgang comment. We need to delete Truth Nerds comment. We need to delete those.
But back to this rotation of something, being clocked by these gyros or whatever instrument you're talking about. I think if space is a flowing substance in ether, then it could be the spin of the ether over the Earth, not the Earth itself. So at that point, one more pillar of heliocentrism, namely the spin of the moving ball Earth, is destroyed. The next thing is the lack of curvature.
All right. Can we go to let's go to the next point, right? What if what if the moon just start going away and away and away until it just goes away and disappear? Let's talk about what will happen to Earth and everything on it. The moon will start going away. Every day will be further away by 100 feet. Tomorrow will be 100 feet further. Day after tomorrow, 200 feet further. Well, you give it a week or two, it will be miles away, and so on and on. What effect will that have in human beings? What would that happen to Earth? Go ahead, thoughts. Let's try to think thing over here. I seen all kinds of documents about that shit. What if the Earth stops spinning? What if the sun disappears? What if the moon just goes away and disappears? Let's put our heads together. What will happen? Anybody that want to go first? Go ahead.
I'll go first, speculating. I don't think much would happen if it gradually moved away, but let's say it went so far away that its gravitational field no longer affected or seriously diminished to almost nothing the effects on the Earth. I would speculate that our tidal system would become a lot less prominent, so there wouldn't be as high tides, and there wouldn't be and there wouldn't be as many because the position of the sun and the moon are responsible for the tides, and the Earth kind of rotates through the water in a weird way. So we just lose some of the high tides and the main tides. The accumulated tides when there's a very high tide. We wouldn't have that anymore. So not much. My guess.
Fair, yep, fair. Do you think people will change moods, like get really boring? Because I don't know. I heard a theory that the moon, affects something behavior in humans because of the tides or something like.
Oh shit! It would affect animal life quite seriously, I would imagine. I'm pretty sure on many documentaries I've seen various different categories of species that actually use the moon in some way.
Who else in the panel have put any thought on that, or just putting thought on that in real time here? Give us, what do you think? Big change, small change, no change. Besides the tides, which is kind of obvious, that's one of the effects of the moon.
Yeah, the moon wasn't here. I'm sorry, I had to walk away.
What if the moon just goes away? Start going away slowly until it just goes away. Far that we can barely see it,
Precession of our axis of rotation might be less stable than it is, and we might rotate more, causing huge climate change issues. It's like a gyroscope. If you have your arms out, then you pull them in. Anyway.
Gary, Lemon, thoughts on what you guys think you haven't?
Well, I think they say we tend to retain water more when the moon is full or something like that. So maybe the balance would be knocked off as to, how much things are cooled or how much water is retained in our system. I think of the moon as a kind of a cooling, light that kind of brings balance to this hot world and keeps things from overheating. So maybe if the moon goes too far away, that balance would be knocked off and things would be hotter, or a bit more water or a bit less water would be retained and be more dried out or something. I don't know.
That's fair, because I can just imagine what will happen if the moon just start getting closer to the Earth. I mean, I seen the movie Moonfall. It brought it to my attention. I just saw the movie last week, and I had a lot of fun watching the movie. It's very fantastical, very science fiction-y. But it's a good watch, fun movie, but something like that will happen if the moon get close to the Earth. It was about to crash, man. It was so close.
I think it would just go plink off of the firmament. I think there's a structural design thing with the firmament in the way, keeping the moon from getting too close or too far. I kind of think of like a multi-layer thing. The layer closest to us and maybe another layer of dome beyond where the moon can't go beyond or something like that. Like an armillary sphere.
That's a good thought. Let's say this moon will break through this some glitch happening digitally wise, and the moon just go inside this dome, and it just get too close to the Earth. What will that affect? What will happen?
Might absorb some of our electricity. I
Well,
think of it like a big sink
will,
for electrical power.
will it affect tides, or as for today, you don't believe that the moon is cause of the tides?
I think it could be an electromagnetic cause. Maybe it would get closer to the electromagnetic balloon of the moon. Maybe cause the tides to go up a little bit or something like that, or be deviated slightly around the moon.
You guys' thoughts? Go ahead.
I think if I wish we had some way to test for electromagnetism, because electromagnetism at such a magnitude of generating that effect would be something to harness. It really would. But luckily, we've got no way to test for it, right, Lemon?
Well, we need to see what we already have on file. How do we test for gravity? We might be able to use a similar method for electromagnetism. So I guess we'd have to see how we test for gravity and see if there's any analog for electromagnetism.
So you're saying an electrical charge is the same as an acceleration?
An acceleration versus an electrical charge, like something moving, therefore gravity, versus a charge, an ontological thing, therefore electromagnetism. I guess what I'm asking for is what is the token for what, if anything, is being tested in either case? If an acceleration is enough for us to infer gravity, then can we say an acceleration over here for electromagnetism, or why or why not?
Well, no, because we have instruments to measure electromagnetism quite easily, and it's a different kind of instrument to measure gravity.
But you appeared to be saying that an acceleration is enough for us to infer gravity without an ontological essence attached to that acceleration. With electromagnetism, we appear to be talking about something that has an ontological essence or an ontological reference, something that has a being or an essence that we're somehow trying to see or test for in one area, electromagnetism, versus the other, which appears to be by a totally tested by a totally different standard without an ontological essence. An acceleration form of movement that we use to infer back to gravity, to some sort of being or essence of gravity on a different level. As far as I can see, that's a little inconsistent.
Yeah, sorry. When I say gravity, I mean the observation of a downward acceleration towards the floor. That's what I mean. We can measure it with a MEMS accelerometer. We can drop an object, and it's really easy to measure. The one thing we can also do is stick probes in there to see if there's any electrical charge. We can also isolate any effects of electromagnetism and test it, and it's still there, and the instruments are completely different. So you can't say one can be the other when quite clearly one can exist without the other, and the instruments to measure both are entirely different.
Well, let's try to keep things consistent to avoid any deception or lying. If the way something moves or some sort of acceleration is enough for us to infer gravity, then let's see what sort of quote unquote acceleration we can use to similarly infer electromagnetism, or vice versa, or whatever.
Yeah, so we can take a mass, and obviously it would have to be it would have to react to the charge in some way, and that charge would have to be substantial to create any kind of motion on it. And we can see what it would take to move something, and we see that isn't everywhere all the time on every material that isn't susceptible to a charge. So we can, just using logic, determine that no, that's not it, right?
I guess we can use logic as long as the logic is consistent. The moment we have, something that's inconsistent, like saying how much something moves for gravity being sufficient while not having a similar, way to test it for electromagnetism, we could potentially have inconsistency and therefore inconsistent logic.
Lemonbird, can you confirm that, to your knowledge, that you are not a fully robotic being and we're born in a organic way, and we're born an organic creature and do in fact possesses what many cultures would call a soul?
The only thing that says that we have a soul is like NDE, near-death experiences, and of course the scriptures from the spiritual world, which would actually reveal to us these things that we might not know about yet. But to see whether we're a robot or not, I don't guess I can confirm it to anybody's satisfaction without faith. If they're saying that I'm a robot, well, then what lab was I created in? Do you have any accompanying facts to help support that narrative? Otherwise, I'd have to reject that narrative because there's just not enough for me to have faith in it or step out on faith and believe it. Not without accompanying facts that could help me, submit to that as true.
Hey, Lemon, when you get a moment, I'd like to talk to you about Lemon perspective.
Sir, you were talking about perspective?
Lemon perspective, or life is short perspective.
What about it?
I posted an image in chat, uncentered Daily Boom.
That Boom. Let's see.
Big shout out, boom, to Real Signals, because Real Signals just hit the cowbell and more cows. I mean, we got cows, we got cowbells about to go off. There you go. You got cows, you got cowbells. There's a party going on by Real Signals. Not much, but a few of those six, perhaps. That was with $2. Thank you very much. Real Signals, thank you for the cow and the cowbell.
So, Lemon, you understand what I'm saying there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we see that the ground, more ground is represented in a given number of pixels at the bottom there where the ground actually is. But where the intersection of things that stand up above the ground are, there's not any perceivable change, even though I drastically changed my elevation.
Looks like the right one is higher than the left. On the left, you have an elevation of 2 inches, 0 feet, 2 inches, versus on the right, an elevation of 7 feet, 6 inches.
Right, drastic.
How is that possible, though? Hold on. I'm going to need some more visual cues here. Interesting. You were saying?
Just the white boxes, lots of information is in that where the oblique angle is, where the floor becomes very oblique. And so I could go in the same size square, I can fit 5 of my little brown points between the tiles. Yet on the right one, I can only fit 2.
But you will notice how you can't make out those square diamond-shaped brown tiles on the floor anymore.
Oh, true.
On the left, it looks like a white, nondescript, unresolvable mass with a couple nondescript lines. But as you're higher up off of the floor, you have enough of a wide enough visual angle to make out those brown diamonds that were pretty unresolvable before. So it looks like you're already showing the concept.
What we'll notice with that is even though the angle is very oblique and the one on the left only about 2 inches off the floor, that red thing in the background, which stands up above the floor, is unchanged in size. Same amount of information and the same number of pixels, same angular size.
But you are seeing compression into the floor, though, with those brown 2D triangles that are on the floor and are unresolvable. So I think you're showing enough of a proof of concept with that.
Right, and if I ever got down equal with the floor, all the information would reside in 1 pixel or less for the floor. But the red thing would not change. Because things that stick up above the floor don't suck into the floor.
But Moyak, we already know that the 2D representation of the eye, like with those brown triangles on the floor, is treated for all intents and purposes no differently than a 3D object. Your eye still reads a 2D readout of some sort, like with those brown triangles on the floor. It sees it the same as any 3D object in representation. So eventually that red square would appear to just simply merge into the surface and become unresolvable, just like those brown 2D squares appear to on the left.
Something makes me think if I brought my camera down, like I cut a hole in my floor and I brought my camera down, and got even more oblique. So if the lens was like right above the surface, then I still wouldn't lose any intelligence on the red squares.
Get close enough to the floor with enough distance, it will simply appear to merge bottom first with the floor, even though it's flat and there's no obstruction.
Not as long as I
Just the
keep
way
the zoom
it
big
is.
enough that I can resolve them.
No, that's not how it works, Lemon. Nice try, but I mean, you
Yeah,
have to keep on saying this, even though it's false. But you keep saying it.
he's showing proof of concept with the brown squares on the floor, and since
Oh,
realistic 3D drawing of 2D drawing is a thing where it looks so realistic it looks 3D, we know at least based off of that we can comfortably infer that those flat brown diamonds would be treated no differently than a 3D object based off of the visual representation of the eye.
Well, that's because those brown objects are actually in the floor. They're actually at no higher than the rest of the floor.
And they're flat planes. Flat planes rotated 90 degrees relative to the red square. So the red square is what Lemon is always saying is going to be smushed, and it's unchanged. And if you take the red square and rotate it 90 degrees parallel to the floor, yeah, you'll get the same foreshortening due to the fact that it's a flat plane. It rotated 90 degrees to the square in question, which is the red square, not smushing.
The
Even
eye
a little.
sees no difference.
Well, the eyes different. There you go. You've got a problem with your eyes. That's okay. It's a medical condition.
By the way, those squares are just pictures I drew on the image of uniform size to represent the number of pixels.
So you forget our eyes are perfect. Despite the fact that Lemon needs glasses, our eyes are perfect. They demonstrate that they render the image perfectly. They cannot be fooled because they can't.
No, just to hear Lemon describe the flat rectangular squares, the brown squares. They're flat and rotated 90 degrees to the red square. He didn't even factor that in. No. He just added to his smush factor, which does not exist.
Let's hear from him, Lemon.
The eye will see no difference between the 2D flat brown diamonds on the ground and a 3D object that is sticking up out of the ground. It will still represent it as some sort of 2D effigy, some sort of 2D ghost image to try to visually represent the object on some sort of 2D level. And eventually that image, that effigy, will just appear to merge with the ground, just like those brown triangles are doing from right to left. On the right, they're visible. Those brown triangles on the left, they are unresolvable and just simply smushed into and merged with the surface. It's the same thing with that red square sticking up out of the ground in the distance. Eventually, it will just appear to merge with the floor and become unresolvable.
I don't see how it would become unresolvable if this was taken at a relatively high zoom, 5 or 10 times. And even though if I had my camera zoomed way out, it would be a little bit more difficult to draw this because everything would be represented in 5 or 6 pixels.
Well, as far as I can see, you're showing proof of concept, at least on the level of the brown diamonds that are in the floor. So
Right,
as far as I can tell, this is fine.
I'm losing information about the floor, but I'm not losing information about the door jamb, where it rises up above the floor.
You will eventually, with great enough distance. The flat objects are lost first, since they're not 3D. But the 3D objects will eventually be lost in a similar fashion and just merge with the floor with enough distance.
Well, you say
I guess you have to try that a mile away and see if you can make out that door jamb a mile away, or with greater and greater distance.
Well, I have 900 feet. Wolfie 6020 took a camera lens and laid it down at the end of a hole on a ship, something like 900 feet away, and I can still determine the bottom edge of the lens. Lens cap.
What height was he above the floor?
You put the camera on the floor.
I guess I'd have to look at that video again.
He lost all the intelligence. He lost almost all the intelligence about the floor. I mean, as soon as you got 10 feet away from him, the floor just appears as the same uniform material. But the lens cap is still there, really, really far away.
I just want to ask really quick, paint us a shell, no bullying with the glasses, all right? Because
I'm sorry, it's
people
not meant to be.
actually do use glasses, all right?
Not meant to be bullying, just showing
All
lemons
right,
how the
just
eyes are not
saying,
perfect. It's
just
not
keeping it
meant to be
real.
bullying. I'm sorry if it seems as bullying.
All
That's
right,
all.
all right. I
I'll
got
stop.
a slightly different question, off topic, but we'll go back to it if you guys want to.
That's fine.
Professor Phil Bell asks, planets are orbiting the sun on reality. I call reality. Normal people think that the planets are orbiting the sun. That's what everybody knows. How does it work in your paradigm level? Planets orbit the sun? Asking for a friend.
It looks like I'd probably go with something Tychonian. The planets appear to be orbiting the sun, which is orbiting over the flat, motionless Earth at best. But the Earth itself is a flat, motionless plane with at best lights up in the sky, orbiting one another, or just circling overhead at best.
Regarding the sun and moon, do you cotton to the idea that the sun and moon are approximately the same distance from the Earth?
Yeah, based off of them having a similar size and me going with what appears to be a smaller scale than the huge globe planetary model.
Why then do they have vastly different parallaxes?
Probably because they're in different layers, or rather different distances, similar size, just slightly further away for, say, the sun, since the moon blocks out the sun anyway, or the moon appears to come in front of the sun anyway. The moon appears to be closer to the sun further, so you're going to get different parallax based off of their different rotations or whatever, their different heights or different distances. That's what I
Well, to
would
get
say.
massive differences in parallax, you should have massive distances in actual differences in distance.
Depends on how far away they are. If they're closer, the ratios would just simply change to reflect that, with a slightly closer moon and or a slightly closer a slightly closer sun. But based off of the moon coming in front of the sun, it appears the moon's closer. That's what it appears to be anyway.
That doesn't seem to jive with perspective, but okay, I'll let you have it.
I'd go with a sun layer, a moon layer, a star layer, or at the very least, those objects being at different elevations based off of their different visual activity.
Hey, I get hundreds, if not many hundreds of times further away based on parallax.
Well,
we got Cowbell in the background. Shout out to Earth is Live. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the cows and the bells were already interrupting you guys. Sorry. We don't hear this, but YouTube is get really loud. I appreciate when I hear Cowbell. Earth is Live for $5. What if the Earth was round like a ball and rotating? What would sunsets look like?
They'd look like the sun coming through at a revolving angle. The sunlight coming through the window of the morning would angle up toward the ceiling and rotate toward the floor, or vice versa. But the light appears to always have a decidedly downward aspect, as if the sun is always overhead and shining its light downward, not like being on a revolving ball.
There's a poll in the YouTube chat box. Please vote, everybody. The poll says, Lemon says, and there are 4 options. Choose the best of what Lemon says. Option 1, or whatever. Option 2, it appears. Option 3, smooching. And option 4, I'll go with. Please vote what you think Lemon Bird says.
You forgot. I'll look into that.
No, I don't have any more options, so I can put all of the above, or none of the above.
It's always good to keep one's options open, especially when one has been deceived. When heliocentrism has deceived us to this level, we have to think about the truths that have been destroyed, the paths that we could have gone down that were curtailed by the lie of heliocentrism, the ether being acknowledged, accepted. and being tapped into or harnessed for the infinite energy that it appears to offer, flowing over the flat, motionless earth, stuff like that.
Big thank you to everybody watching so far. This is my chilling time. I appreciate it. If you guys want to support and help this channel, there's a super chat feature. We'll get cows and cowbells with it. There's a PayPal link that I will appreciate if anybody want to hit me up with a little sum there. And if you cannot do that, which I understand, then there's a free way that you can support, and is by hitting that like button under the stream. So located under this stream on YouTube, make sure that the thumbs up icon is highlighted darker. If it's not, then go and hit it in 3, 2, 1. Hit the like now. Boom, like now. Thank you very much. Also, share the show and join Discord.
Too late. I already hit it.
So we're going to need to use our imagination to figure out this lie, but we also have the Holy Spirit of truth to help us.
Well, that and $5 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Well, I hate to take it to that, religious side, but it is funny that this God in heaven, I think I was talking to you earlier in the other chat, was able to break the back of scientism by simply showing us that there's no curvature. This is the power of the God that we serve. Hallelujah.
If you show me yours, I'll show you mine. Earth model.
You want me to show it?
I go with the A.E. Gleason map. What do you go with?
Heliocentric spherical Earth model.
Well, if you want more of the shape, I'd go with the biblical cosmology. The Earth is flat on pillars on top of a watery deep. Hell's in the heart of the Earth, along with underground seas, cities, topography, stuff like that. We're surrounded by an Antarctic ice wall of about 60,000 plus miles, covered by a solid section of sky called the firmament, with the sun, moon, and stars revolving within it, under the waters above, under the heavenly throne of God. That appears to be as far as my cosmology extends. How far does yours extend?
Thank you very much, Lemonbird. It just came to me an idea. As you explain this model, I will try to illustrate it. I will make a clip illustrating as you explain your model. That good? You looking forward for it? I'm looking forward for it.
That'll be interesting.
Cool. Gonna be very rookie-ish. I mean, not like if Stingray is gonna model that and do it in real time, so I can overlap the audio and then put the model. I mean, Stingray, heads up, maybe we want to do that. But I'll try to do it maybe with drawing or something.
Don't forget to show the waters above and the waters below.
Of course not. Thank you. And throne, the throne of God, all of it in it.
Amen. I do wonder if there's any sort of aquatic life out there in these heavenly waters, or if it is just cool and clear and lifeless. I think there was.
You really think so? You really think it could be?
I don't think so. I think the only thing out there is like angels. But there is an Italian YouTuber who's a flat earther. And he talks about the possibility of there being biological life up there, giving us the star-like effects that we see with all of these colors and stuff. Like there's, plankton or something like that up there giving us this aquatic color in the waters above or something like that. It's kind of trippy. But I guess it's a possibility. But I think that
aquatic life.
Angelic. What was that?
Stationary aquatic life, or angels. They seem pretty stationary. I mean, they move like a couple of arc seconds a century. But
one would expect like a swimming effect of a dolphin or something alive moving around. That is true. That's part of the reason why I couldn't go with that. But it's trippy. I liked the dude's explanation for why there could have been these pillars of the Earth. He theorized that at the amphidryomic points where there's little to no tides, even out in the ocean, that there's a pillar of the Earth underneath those amphidryomic zones that's causing the tide to kind of slow up a little bit.
Yeah. We can't hear you, Jose.
I am not speaking.
Do you think that there could be a pillar of the Earth underneath these amphidryomic points?
All evidence would seem to belie that.
Like?
Well, parallax of the sun and moon, like just described. Ships going over the horizon. Everything that indicates it's a curved Earth. I don't know how you'd have a pillar underneath it, unless it's like stuck on the pole and spinning on it.
Well, your observation appears to show visual compression does at least make the objects on the surface appear to compress into unresolvability. One could assume that 3D objects sticking up out of the surface would be represented similarly by the eye, with enough distance and enough close proximity to the surface. Things will just simply appear to merge into said surface and become unresolvable.
No, that's not how optics work. I mean, essentially what you have, the reason the ground changes, the quote-unquote limiting surface changes, is because your angle to that is changing. Now, when you look at something straight ahead, that angle is not changing in any appreciable manner. So if I can see the top of it, I can see the bottom of it just as well.
But the angle is changing. The angle is made from the level of the eyes up and down, and that angle will expand or decrease depending on, how high in elevation you are. So that angle will change.
But there'll be no favoritism towards the bottom inch of that red square than the top edge of the red square. There's
Of
no.
course there will be.
There's only that whole thing is treated by the number of pixels that can hold that image.
Of course there would be. You're closer to the surface. And so any angle that's part of being closer to the surface will tend to compress more than any angle that's up and away from said surface.
That's a bold assertion with no evidence to support it.
You just showed it in your observation. The
No,
red square
no,
from the
that red
floor
square didn't change
compressed
one
into
iota.
unresolvability simply by you being close to the surface. If you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
The red square didn't change one iota. The little things on the ground changed, but not the vertical object that was sticking out of the ground.
So you're thinking that because the red square is sticking up out of the ground, it will not be treated the same visually as those brown squares in the surface.
It's obviously not treated the same. Those changed dramatically, while the red square didn't change at all to speak of.
Eventually, it will be treated exactly like them because the eye sees no difference visually between the 2D squares in the surface and or the 3D object sticking up out of the surface. It still sees a 2D effigy that will be represented based off of compressed or expanded viewing angle for the eye. That is all the eye will interpret.
If at all, the image that was taken from a higher elevation, the red box will be compressed, not the one that was taken closer to the floor.
That's true.
It will still compress visually.
No. Again,
Yes,
if it will compress, it will be the one that was taken from higher elevation, not the lower one.
It will compress from lower elevation because
if it will compress, if we compare the two images, the images that was taken from higher elevation will be compressed relative to the one that was taken from lower elevation.
It will compress in both cases.
It's foreshortening. No.
Yes, it will.
What do you compare it to? What do you compare it to when you say compress?
The 2D image of the object where it's not doesn't appear to have set bottom first, where you can see all parts of the object without this setting.
They both not bottom. disappear bottom first. And in the image that disappear bottom first, you need to show me compression above the things that you claim was compressed.
We got a boom
and
time.
You can't see anymore.
We got a boom time over here. Pronon 1990. He's been a member for 2 months. Thank you for being a responsible troll, Pronon 1990. Lemon is the real Antichrist and devil. Wow, that's a big accusation, Lemon Bird. Pronon say that you are the real Antichrist and the devil.
Ignore that. The liar will typically take the truth and try to pervert it and throw it back to you like a bad reversal or a bad mirror. Just ignore it. The liar has nothing without the truth to pervert and twist and throw back. So just ignore that. But being close to the surface basically limits the angles that can come into the eye symmetrically. Ideally, you have an object that is equal room on all sides of the object and the vanishing point on the object and equal angles on all sides. But if the object is sticking up out of the surface, the number of angles, especially from the level of the eyes down to the surface, are extremely compressed and limited versus open and ample angles on all the other sides of the object. So that's why you're getting bottom first.
What is the number of angles?
You would have a 6 degree angle on all sides of the object sticking up out of the ground, Chaiki, sure. You'd have a 6 degree angle to the left, to the right, up and down from the vanishing point of the object, say, sure. But the thing is, the height that is available to be represented in that 6 degree angle, Chaiki, is very limited. The height that's available from the level of the eyes down bottoms out at 6 feet, leading to compression. But to the left, you can represent 3 miles, 10 miles, 100 miles. To the right, you can represent 100 miles, and up, you could represent 100 miles. So this lack of symmetry, Chaiki, leads to bottom-up compression and disappearance.
Hold on, please, Chaiki. I got two $5 PayPals in here, and I don't know exactly who they are from. Are those from you, Grubus? I don't know. The name kind of ring the bells. Might be you. Well, let me read. I got 2 comments with 2 $5 PayPal hits over here. The first one for $5. Thank you very much for that $5 PayPal, whoever you are. Lemonbird is a fake Christian. 99.99% of the Christians of the Christian world does not believe what he believes. He needs to stop this childish joke and face the real world, not the fake conspiracy crap. Sorry, but he's just a really arrogant jerk. Damn, Lemon, he came in hot on you. Let me read the other one because it might be kind of a continuation. But that $5 PayPal was hot, and it continues. Why is Lemonbird so arrogant? He knows to be proven wrong so many times. Time to grow up. Love you, Jose. Appreciate it. Lemonbird, what are your thoughts on that? He came in hot.
The thing that would quote unquote make you Christian is whether you believe Jesus Christ, came and died for our sins and rose on the 3rd day, and or whether or not his blood is sufficient to cover your sin. The shape of the earth is irrelevant. Some people get some things right, some people get things wrong. The main thing is Christians made the mistake of thinking that science or scientism, science so-called, was an objective way to look at the facts and the truth without agenda or rancor. Little did Christians know they were playing on enemy turf. That the way scientism, science so-called, is defined currently, Jose, is an attempt to run kicking and screaming from the Christian Bible in particular. So Christians need to wake up that they're trying to get rid of the shape of the earth that shows obvious creation. They're trying to get away from the obvious flood and the otherwise obvious evidence for a creator.
Marble Merman, you got a little bit of a hot mic there.
Sorry about that.
I got 2 images in here. A little, thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for the $10 PayPal with 2 comments. Whoever you are, thank you very much. But I got. That was you, Marble. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. I thought it was Grooves for some reason. I don't know. Thank you, Marble. Yeah,
That's my full name. Yep.
I really
No,
appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Good looking out, brother. Now I got two images. I'm sharing on Discord. These the last two images posted by Kyle Wilson, and these are pictures of a sun shining upwards. Lemonbird. I can see it here. It's not a high quality picture, but I can see what's going on. The sun shining upwards. We got more light over there, and the sun is shining just underneath the clouds right here, slightly, all over like a, like a big blanket.
Underlit clouds for you is evidence of the sun revolving upward like on a ball. If light
No.
spreads, then shadows can spread as well. So the light can come in downward and spread upward to give you a shadow, could it not?
Okay, no, what I see here is but do you see the pictures, right? It's not like the good old regular pictures of like very fancy, just fantastic. It's just a normal picture, and I can see that the clouds are lit in the bottom, like uniformly, kind of, you got this big blanket of clouds. Yeah.
So the light comes in downward and spreads and diffracts upward. So as far as I can tell, there's no issue. And there are flat earthers who have shown underlit objects with the light above the object that is below, and the lower part of the object is lit. So as far as I can tell, we're still good with the light that appears to be above whatever's being lit or having its shadow cast under it. As far as I can tell, we have no problem still.
Thank you very much. Chaik put in a diagram in here. You think the diagram is fair, or like to better make the sunshine bounce on the ground, and then it does what illuminating the bottom of the clouds? But if it does bounce on the ground to illuminate the bottom of the clouds, why is not also illuminating the top of the clouds when it's above?
We need to call someone we need to call someone on the ground there to see if the ground is lit.
Hell, I walked toward a wall, the opposite wall, opposite to a light that was being cast from the other direction. And my shadow went from this huge looming large shadow that was spreading above, my head to something that was a smaller, more compact shadow. So as you can see, shadows spread, and the spread of the shadow was varying depending on my proximity to the wall. So there's a lot of different things that could be going on here. Light could be bouncing up off of the ground. Light could be filtering through the cloud down to the under layer of the cloud. The shadow could be spreading from below where the light is coming in downward and spreading upward or something like that by a refraction, spreading shadow, diffusion. As far as I can tell, this is not definitive. We're assuming some sort of perfect geometric relationship where the light comes down like this direct ray straight to the shadow. That doesn't necessarily hold. Shadow spread, light spreads. So that doesn't quite hold.
Yeah, we know light can bounce from the ground. It's not a problem. Now we only need to see someone that is under those clouds and see the ground and tell us if there is any light on the ground that bounces.
So if my shadow could spread on that wall from the light on the opposite direction simply by getting further away from the wall to get a wider, more looming shadow, or getting closer to the wall to get a tighter, more compact shadow, that to me tells me that my shadow could easily spread upward above me, above the object below, and hit the underside of something that's above like a cloud. I see no problem here.
I got a big yay to the Stingray sharing screen. I missed you, Stingray, with this. You are sharing for YouTube, and I think, Lemon, I am joining your screen share with my two accounts, so I can see here on your YouTube. I see a cloud. Lemon, we should see this. You should join.
So this is a volume simulation with a single direction light source with parallel light. It's just a uniform direction of light. In fact, the actual light in Blender is called the sun, surprisingly enough. And we see that the cloud is casting a shadow on the floor. And I'll just
hold on, one more. To watch the Stingray, what Stingray is presenting, one must click on his name and click watch the stream or something in that neighborhood. Like if you're on a mobile, I don't know exactly, on a PC or laptop, click on his name and watch the stream. There you go.
Yeah, so I've got it in daylight here with the high sun. We can see that because there's lovely light above, and there is a exact same size shadow on the ground below, which means, you know, it's parallel light rays. And then it's just interesting to figure out, well, what would this look like if the sun set? What actually happens is this. So we can see the shadow is now moving to one side. So on one side it's light, on the other side it's dark. So let's get on the dark side and let's get the sun a lot lower and a lot lower and a lot lower. But we see now it's so low that it's pointing up and illuminating the underside of the cloud. And now the shadow's slightly in the center and on the top. Exactly predictable and testable. I can simulate it, and all I have to do is angle a parallel light sun upwards. The way that happens is we're rotating on a sphere. Cheers, Jose.
This is a simplified abstraction. Light spreads and diverges and diffracts. And just like the looming shadow that was looming on the wall when I was far away from the wall with the light being cast from the other direction, and the shadow becoming more compact and smaller as I get closer to the surface, it looks like just like light spreads, shadows can spread too. And so this idealized abstraction where you have the light ray going straight from object to shadow may be a little off, since shadows can spread similar to how light can spread.
Yep, shadows are calculated within this. Light is calculated within this. And all I had to do to match that photo was one thing. Point the light upwards. It required one sentence and one little thing on my behalf to make this look like those clouds. No
Just because
magic.
something is simplified doesn't mean that it's true. You could have light that comes downward and spreads upward. So as far as I can tell, the possibility of an underlit cloud with a shadow going upward is still available even from...
You got up there for a second then.
The possibility is still there for the light to come from upward and downward, and then, you know, diffractor spread upward again. So I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, you know, that is a possibility. I've never seen it myself. It's never been demonstrated. It is a possibility. There's loads of things that might be able to do this. Very convoluted, lots of words, lots of unproven things. Or I can just point the light source upwards and it works. That is my only statement. The simple thing of pointing the light source upwards works. That's it. That's my statement.
So your argument is simple, therefore true. That may not be the case. It could be simple, therefore lie, or simple, therefore deceptive.
No.
But we'll see.
Simple and predictable. It has explanatory and predictive power, and it matches reality. I can demonstrate it in a simulation. I can demonstrate it with cotton buds. It is.
But you're rejecting data from real life that I'm presenting to you for your preferred theory. That's not scientific. Just because of your dedication to a geometric theory of light, where light is this idealized string that passes from source to object to shadow, doesn't mean that you get to negate my data or ignore my data in preference for your theory necessarily. I'm telling you that I was in front of a wall with light behind me. I get closer to the wall, the shadow is more compact and smaller. I get further away from the wall, the shadow is more diffuse and bigger. Based off of that experimental data, the implication is clear that shadows can diffract, spread, or whatever, and potentially go upward above the object that is quote unquote casting the shadow. Now, you can ignore that data for your preferred theory all you want. I will do similar and ignore your supposed idealized, computerized diagram for mine.
You remind me of Gary now, Lemon. You tested You saw the shadow one size, you moved some steps away, it was bigger, and you concluded from this that if you kept going on, the shadow will grow so much that it will be above you. No, that doesn't work, Lemon. You should go a bit further and see how the shadow becomes smaller suddenly. Why? Because you're closer to the light source and it's above you.
Yeah, Lemon, the issue is, I mean, I'll stop sharing if you want to share something, Lemon, and present it, but you're just saying things cast shadows. And I 100% agree with you. Things do cast shadows. Absolutely. But please demonstrate your concept, because your concept seems to take a massive leap, like Chaiki just said, and say that a light source above, depending on distance, can cast a shadow upwards from an object that is clearly below, and that's just really weird. I don't think I've ever observed that, so I'd love evidence.
Yes. Gary, if you want to say something, so if not, go on mute. We got a tweet.
I was just waiting for a chance.
It's so good.
I was just waiting for a chance.
It wasn't too bad. It was kind of nice, that tweet that we got going on there. Go ahead, man.
Me? Go ahead.
Yeah. If you want to say something,
okay.
If not, go on mute until this is your turn.
I just didn't want to interrupt, and so I was just waiting for a chance.
All good.
I have a video on why the clouds are red, and you know, if you Google why clouds are red at sunrises and sunsets, you're never going to the clouds. You're going to read about the red light spectrum and how it precedes, and while the blue is still scattering because it doesn't come as far, right? So what you're going to see is, and actually he just showed it in his little demonstration, Stingray did, the antipodal side of the cloud, the side the opposite of where the sunlight enters into the cloud, is always going to be the darkest part of the cloud, unless it's a thin cloud. But if they're thicker clouds, it's going to be the darker part. You can watch it during the day as the sun passes by.
I think that's a little bit of a different subject. I mean, true, that's cool information and all, but the question was, why are the clouds underlit? Not why are they red?
Yep, you went quiet just in case, Gary. Maybe you lost signal or you're just not talking. We just don't hear you.
And why do things on the ground cast shadows on the clouds?
In the meanwhile, let me ask a question from John Rapp. Why does a ground or water smoosh light? Why does the ground and water smoosh light, but the clouds spread light? Lemon Bird. That's for you. Lemon left? Oh. I didn't even know he left. I'll go watch his stream again, Stingray. I'll put it up on screen. It's prettier than what I'm doing, than what I'm showing.
Yeah. I was creating a different type of cloud. Well, no, a better volume of cloud to be able to render it. There we go. That's better. A bit fuller.
Nice.
But yes, you can see that the light is illuminating the front that it's hitting, but the light is coming up at the moment. So when we go to the dark side of the cloud, the opposite side to the light, we get the underside lit, as predicted by a light source being under the cloud in terms of angle, obviously not like elevation off the surface. So there you go. Anybody can do this with cotton buds anyway. It's not that hard. You don't need magic to do this.
Yeah, I can make a layer of cotton balls, put it in a little stick or something, and then just go in a really dark room and just get a little light source, right? And see what the illumination of the cotton balls are.
I'd love to see a flat earther. I would love to see a flat earther produce this visual by having a light source above. It will be fantastic. I suspect the only way that they could do it is have a mirror underneath, but then we'd clearly see the light source in the mirror.
Yeah, or maybe water. Yeah, very reflective somehow. It might reflect, right, with water, with a base of water.
Possibly, but all you need to do then is actually do this to scale. So actually have that cotton bud like 5 feet off your table surface. You ain't going to bounce light on that. Whereas this still holds true.
Also, it kind of means that the ground has some kind of a favoritism towards red colors as they bounce back up.
Oh, yeah. Even if it's green or blue.
Nice. Fleur of science. This is something for Chris Berry right here. Cotton balls.
Hey, could you guys hear me a minute ago, or was my thing messed up?
No, we heard you in the beginning, and then you just went quiet, completely quiet. No, I heard you now.
Hear you guys, and then it's like, okay, I shut off everything and restarted everything.
Yeah,
okay,
it's solid now. Yeah, good sound now.
Can I finish my point? I'll try to make it in under a minute.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, Stingray showed his little thing with the his little imitation cloud, and the antipodal side is the dark side of the cloud, even in his little model that he demonstrated, which is what I've been saying for quite a while. Now, you have in the sunrise in the morning, you have the preceding light, which is the light, the red spectrum is the longest reaching, and that's why you see the orange reddish skies, even without clouds. You'll see that in the sky. Now, what you don't see is those brilliant red clouds strolling across the sky from coming up in the east and scrolling across to and setting in the west, which if the earth is turning, you should see that going across your sky, right? All in a matter of a short amount of time. But you don't. In fact, if you're underneath those red clouds, you don't even see it. They won't look red to you. They won't look that brilliant red orange color.
I have no idea what you just said there. You said that they should be moving from the west to the east or east to the west.
Yes, because supposedly the Earth is rotating toward the east, which makes the sun go under those clouds. Now, why aren't those clouds scrolling across the sky towards the west? Because if the Earth is turning, you should see that red line move across the sky. It should be like a Terminator line, of a red Terminator line moving across your sky. But you don't, because it has to do with the angle of the sun over the clouds and the red spectrum of light, which is the longest light waves. And so that's why you never see that brilliant red and orange sunrise. It's never right over your head. You never see it over your head. You never see the sunset over your head. And you should literally be able to see it scroll across the sky if what you're saying is correct, that the sun is shining under the clouds.
Really, you're in the Terminator. You're in the Terminator line every day. Does it look like light one second and dark the second?
No, but if you got the brilliant red clouds at your sunrise, you look towards the horizon, that's where you see them, right? Now, if the Earth is turning, shouldn't those bright red clouds, the ones straight above you, start getting brilliant red, and then the ones towards your west get brilliant red? No, you don't see that at all.
How far?
Because it has to do with the angle of the sun over the clouds.
Gary, how far should we
it should go across from your horizon to the other horizon.
How much do you think I see?
You should literally see him rolling across the sky if your model is correct, and you don't.
I kind of do see that. I'm a little confused as to what you're asking, but I kind of do see that. I see that, especially at night. I'll notice it. When the clouds, will go from being red to a gray in the west and stuff like that, and the Terminator line will skirt across the sky. I do see that.
And if that Terminator line is going overhead, it has to start somewhere, and it has to continually roll if the Earth is rotating, right?
I do that.
So you never see those brilliant red clouds directly over your head. You see them either at the one horizon or the other, depending on if the sun is rising or setting.
How long is the Terminator line? What are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. You got it.
Yes,
according to you have a Terminator line, right?
Because if you need to see 200 miles to see the Terminator line, then you need to see 200 miles of clouds.
I can't even see when the sun is getting closer to coming up in the morning. I can't even see the reddish colors. It can be a clear morning, and you still see the orangish reddish colors in the sky, right? Even without a cloud, you see them. but you can only see them up to a limited amount of distance from north to south, and you don't see them rolling across the sky. Now, if they're just coming up, you should literally see them coming up, moving overhead, and moving down to the other side. You don't.
So first you need a hole in the cloud that allow the light in. You need the clouds highest possible, right? Those conditions are not always there.
Those
clouds
conditions are never there because it doesn't do that.
But
we have plenty of times where the conditions with the clouds would make it happen if it was actually a thing, but you never see it. That's why you never see those brilliant red and orange clouds right overhead. You'll see a little reddish, but you're not going to see that brilliant color. It's over towards the horizons, whether it's rising or setting. You never see it directly overhead passing over, and you should.
Why should you?
Because if, according to your model, the Earth is rotating towards the east, and so you should see if the sun is coming up, and you got the brilliant red clouds. You should see as the Earth rotates, you should see that reddish color coming overhead and then going towards your west and then setting again, because that would have to do with but you never see that, and you'll never see those brilliant. You'll never be under those brilliant red clouds. I can look towards my west at the sunset, and there's clouds over the hills, and there's clouds in the valley, but the clouds at the hills look brilliant red. But if you're actually driving underneath those through the hills, you don't see it.
Right. You know why?
Because of the angle of the light and the red spectrum and the proximity of the sun.
The amount of light you're looking at. When you're looking at the cloud from below, you see a lot of clouds.
Somebody more to my west has to see those clouds more west or more west from where I am.
Listen,
but they don't.
Gary, listen, when you look at the cloud from below, you see a lot of cloud on a very wide angle. When you see the clouds, the far clouds, you see a lot of cloud on very narrow angle. So you have more light per angle on the distant cloud. That's why they look brighter.
Okay, but that's sunrise. Okay, I see it. Now, somebody further to my west hasn't seen it yet because it's still dark and the sun isn't there yet, right? Now, a few minutes later, they should be seeing those brilliant red clouds, but they should be now over my head, but I can't see that. But they can.
Yeah, you can't see
because it has to do with the angle of the light and the red spectrum.
No, the amount of light per area, per the angle that you're looking at, Gary.
I'm trying to pay attention, Gary, like for real, but you're going to have to explain it to me like I'm 5, like to understand it a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's say you just put something on a ball and you rotate it towards the sunrise, right, towards the east. Now, shouldn't that Terminator line with that red color and orange clouds, shouldn't that roll across there? But it doesn't.
It does.
It should just roll. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
You're never going to have them directly over your head. You're going to see what you're going to see is some reddish in the sky in the morning, whether you got a cloud or not. If you look closely, you can see the reddish oranges even in the sky on a clear morning.
Have you ever watched?
It's a
have you ever
spectrum.
watched? Have you ever watched the sunrise and look at the opposite?
I watch
side
it literally every morning. I'm out working in the morning outside, and I literally watch it every morning.
Have you ever looked at the opposite side of the sky when you're watching the sunrise?
Yeah, and it's never brilliant oranges and reds. It's just a light hue.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You know why? There's a shadow there that forms. And
there's no shadow. No, that red light that you see should roll over you if your model was correct about it, and it was the sun shining under the clouds. It doesn't do that.
Gary, I'm going to start talking, and I'll tell you when I'm done. Then you can cut in, okay?
Yeah, my permission.
When you're watching a sunrise, right? You look to the opposite side of the sky. There's a shadow, and slowly that shadow starts to go farther and farther down to the horizon. What do you think that shadow is?
It's not a shadow. It's because it's still the dark night, and it's the preceding light, the red spectrum that's moving towards it, lighting it up, starting to light it up. And as the sun gets closer to you, the blue spectrum starts to light it up. All you're doing is seeing the dark of the night moving away. That's all you see. It's not a shadow.
Okay, what makes you think it's not a shadow?
What makes you think it is a shadow?
Because because if the sun is still above us on the flat Earth, why would there be a shadow?
Because the sun has limited. It has a limited light. It's not. It doesn't go on indefinitely.
But why is it that there's a definitive line where you
Because
can
it's
see
the
the
dark Terminator line. It's the Terminator line between dark and light. It's where the light extends out to a point where it can no longer extend out, and it's just, the darkness is moving away. The light, because the sun is coming towards that direction. It's gradually lighting it up. Starts with the reddish and oranges, and then it proceeds to have more blue because blue scatters. So as the sun gets closer, you got more blue, and you can't see that darkness at all.
All right, let me ask you the question, Gary. If I have a light source above a flat table, and I'm at the other end of the table, what's blocking me from seeing the sun? Even though the area where I'm standing on the flat surface is not in the direct sunlight, which would be above me.
Well, how about if I take a nice? How about if I go out in my yard at night and take a flashlight and point it at the ground? It has a circumference of bright light directly under, then lesser light around the circumference of that, and then somebody 2 miles down the road can't see my light on the ground at all. Nor can they even see the flashlight. Well, because light has a limit. It doesn't go on indefinitely like you guys think it does.
Gary, I see lights off in a distance farther than 2 miles away, 10 miles away, 15 miles away. I can see light, and that light is not illuminating my area. So on Earth, if the sun is above the flat Earth, what would be stopping me from seeing the light of the sun?
The angle of the sun, as the sun moves away on a flat Earth over the surface, the angle gets lower and lower, and you have atmospheric extinction. You have a limited angle at center frame and atmospheric extinction, both working. We see it all the time, don't we?
Yeah, but
I literally can have a foggy day and not see the sun at all.
But Gary, the sun is thousands of miles above the Earth.
Why can't I see the sun on a foggy day when the sun is directly overhead?
Because the clouds are covering it, Gary. That's kind of
no, it's fog. It's not clouds in the same sense.
The sun is
it's
thousands
atmosphere,
of miles
right?
above the Earth.
It's atmosphere.
Yeah. But again, the sun is thousands of miles above the Earth. Like what's
because the angle simply becomes too narrow at center frame. You have a limited field of view based on your elevation over the surface. It's fact of life.
Yeah, but let's say a sunset over water, right? The horizon is eye level, correct? If you're standing on the beach.
It's just under, but you can't really tell the difference.
Okay, but for some reason, the sun also touches that eye level and then goes below that eye level.
Yeah, because the sky has a limit at that center frame. That's why if you hold your camera down on the ground, you got a very limited amount of surface area you can see, and it goes up to center frame if your camera's level. You hold your camera higher, you have much more bottom showing in your field of view because you have a higher angle over the surface. Same with that bottom angle is going to limit whatever the top does. The top is just going to set into it. It's going to simply become unresolvable bottom first because there's nowhere else to put the information.
But Gary, remember that the sun is thousands of miles above the surface of the Earth.
It doesn't matter.
The horizon is eye level, which is not thousands of miles above the Earth.
Right, which is why it limits everything beyond it. Like, if you look at your horizon and you actually pay attention, the horizon is much closer to you because you're closer to the surface. The sky isn't meeting the ground right there. The sky, if the sun or the clouds or whatever else, they're going far off into the distance past that point until the space between them and the ground becomes too squished. We'll use Lemon's words, smooshed. You can't see it anymore. It comes into the angle and there's nowhere else to go. The bottom half of your field of view is based on what's below your eye level. It limits whatever's at the top. Has only the top to show in. It can't go it cannot go into the bottom, and it's going to simply become unresolvable bottom first. Everything does it.
All right. We'll use your numbers, right? So 4,000 miles above the Earth, right? 4,000 miles, right?
Yeah, plus or minus. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
At midnight, at midnight, it's the total opposite from where I am on the flat Earth, right? Total opposite. If it's 4,000 miles above the flat Earth, what angle do you think it should be from your location? From in California, you're in California, right?
Well, it
What
depends on
angle
my
should
elevation.
it be above? What
Depends
angle
on
should
my
it be?
elevation, right? If I'm at
Okay,
let's say I'm at 1,000 feet above sea level,
hold on, I'm not
is my
done,
angle going to be
Gary, I'm
different
not
than if
done.
I'm at sea level?
Gary, I'm not done. Your elevation, let's say, is 20 feet above sea level. All right. What angle should it be if it's 4,000 miles above the flat Earth at midnight from you?
It's more than 4,000 miles from me. It's 4,000 above the surface. When it sets, it's going to be about 6,300 miles away from me.
And if it's
from
okay, so we know the distance.
Its sub-solar point will be about 6,200 miles from me, and then you got the 4,000 miles up. So
Gary,
that whatever that angle is.
We know the distance from you, right? We know the distance from the equator to the North Pole, right? And then we just times that by 2. So if it's somewhere around the equator on the other side, that we know that distance. So that will be our baseline of our triangle, right? And then we have a 4,000 mile above the 4,000 mile elevation of the sun. So that we should be able to figure out what angle it should be above the horizon from your location.
No, because your field of view has a limit. It simply has a limit. Let me finish. You interrupted me now.
Go ahead.
It's going to be different based on your elevation over the surface. That's why. So the angle to the sun would be different, whatever my elevation was, because a higher elevation makes my field of view way more far out into the distance at center frame, right? We know that. Of course, you'll claim we're just looking over the curve, and I'm saying, no, we're looking over a flat surface. We can see further because we have a bigger angle over the surface. But your field of view has a limit of how far anything can go in the distance before it goes into that field of view at center frame, bottom first. And you can't measure, the only way you can measure that thing is if you can see the bottom and see the top from where you're at to get an accurate measurement without having to do all kinds of other manner of adjustments, trying to make it fit what you think. That's why it doesn't, an elevation angle doesn't match what you think the distance is either, right? You have to do other things into your equations, right? You have to factor in Earth curve and refraction because it doesn't fit, right?
Not necessarily.
No, you can't just take an elevation angle of a mountain 70 miles away and without any information tell me how high that mountain is. You can't.
Hold on. You're going off of the picture. We're talking about the elevation.
Hey, I can't. Right now, I can't understand you. You're roboting.
Well, Gary, it seems like this video that I've just posted, you can look at it or you can't?
Hold on.
Yeah, I think it's the one I already showed. He was talking about.
I think I'm on the wrong thing.
Redness of the clouds rolling across the sky, which is exactly what you see in that video, which you said doesn't happen.
No, you didn't. You showed a video that one day on Boom Uncensored, but they weren't scrolling across the sky. They were only up to...
No, the one that I shared with you. The one that I just posted.
I have to go find it.
If you want to see this rolling across the sky, easy. Get yourself a camera, right? And then do a time lapse. And then you'll literally... If it's a day with clouds...
I don't know where your thing is. I can't find it.
You'll literally see that.
Here, I got it.
You're talking about,
I think I'd have to leave.
All right, I
can't
got a
understand
comment to read.
roboting.
Yeah, no, yeah, your microphone went to shit or your signal or something. I got a super chat over here, and
I couldn't understand you.
We're about to get some cows and cowbell big time because we got a super chat and the notification is about to pop up. RT96 for $5. There we go. Whee! Got it. He's right. Blue light gets tired first. Why do you think Santa uses Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer? Checkmate, atheist. Shout out to RT96. Good point. Because if Santa didn't agree with it, it would be a different reindeer, but he uses the red-nosed reindeer. Yeah, you got an excellent point, Artie.
I don't know. When I look at these things in time lapse, it looks to me like it's describing exactly what my bag is asking for.
He paid money for that?
You really have no ability to control your voice, do you? Well, then,
No, he doesn't.
So I'm trying to figure something out. If the subsolar point at extinction is 6,200 miles away or 6,300 miles away and 4,000 miles above the flat Earth, that's a 32-degree angle. That's pretty damned high. That's higher than the sun is here in the middle of winter at noon. So in the middle of winter at noon, it's barely 30 degrees. But to Gary, that must be the point of extinction when it's 6,300 miles. That didn't make any sense.
No, the point of extinction will be when I'm at sea level at about 6,300 miles away. At that point, wherever that is, that would be the subsolar point over there. That would be 4,000 miles approximately straight up from there. The angle is not going to, it's affected by the compression of your field of view. It simply you cannot measure an elevation angle and get a height of something unless you know a whole bunch of other stuff or you make equations to make up for what you can't see, right? Well, so if I go up 1,000 feet, let's say I'm at sea level and I take an angle to the sun, right? Now I go straight up 1,000 feet. Is my angle the same?
Against your local horizontal? Yes.
No. Let's say I take an elevation angle to the sun, and then I shoot up fast elevator, 1,000 feet straight up. Is my angle to the sun still going to be the same as it was when I was on the ground?
From your local horizontal?
From wherever I was standing on the ground, I'm looking at the sun. I take an elevation angle from wherever I'm at. You can pretend it's at your house. Okay. So now I'm looking at the sun. I'm taking an elevation angle. I'm approximately, we're going to say close to sea level. We're going to pretend it's sea level. Okay. You're standing on the beach. So you take an angle to the sun. Let's say that angle is 40 degrees, right? Now you shoot up straight up in an elevator, 1,000 feet. Are you going to have a 40-degree angle to the sun?
Same angle.
Well, that's why I need a clarification. Is that elevation angle from the visible horizon or from your local horizontal or from zenith?
Okay, you're going to face the horizon, obviously, to get your angle, aren't you? Your elevation angle?
I'm going to face the horizon, but that doesn't mean I'm going to measure the angle from the horizon. I could measure from my local horizontal.
Just answer my question. It's so simple. This is not complicated. You're trying to make it worse than what it is, and it's not bad at all. Yeah, you are. You're standing on the beach looking towards the horizon, the sun. Let's say we're going to pretend it's at 30. So now you can see the horizon, you can see the sun, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you shoot up an elevator 1,000 feet. Is it still going to be a 30-degree angle?
I see.
Yes.
No.
Yes. From my local horizontal. No. From my local horizontal, it will still be 30 degrees. From the visible horizon, you're right. It will have increased, but not from my local horizontal. Because if I measure the angle from
all you did was go up 1,000 feet.
Now let me finish. If I'm at the beach and I use a proper instrument and I measure the zenith angle to the sun and I go straight up 1,000 feet and I measure the zenith angle to the sun, I get the same angle. No, you won't.
You will.
Oh, you say that.
No, you're going to get a different angle. If you go up 1,000 feet, you're just looking at the horizon. There's the sun. You take the angle over the horizon. Now you go up 1,000 feet. That angle's not going to be the same.
You just clarified over the horizon. So you're measuring from the visible horizon.
I've said
which
that
I did,
at least
well,
5 times, and you're trying to
No, I
avoid it.
asked for clarification. When you said measure the elevation angle, you didn't clarify from what. That's why I asked, from the visible horizon.
I said you're
or from the
standing
local?
on the beach, you're
And I
looking at
asked,
the horizon,
okay,
there's the sun at 30
Gary.
degrees above the horizon, so you go up 1,000 feet. Is that still going to be a 30-degree angle?
Okay,
No.
you said elevation angle. You said from the horizon. You said elevation angle, and that's why I asked.
Isn't it an elevation angle when you're looking at the sun?
Larry, just change your statement a little bit. If you're from your local horizontal, the angle will not change at all. End of story.
Because you said elevation angle, and I asked, was that from the visible horizon or local horizontal? That was what I was asking for clarity. Now he just said, from visible horizon. Well, now I agree with
it. I said at the beginning.
But not from zenith, and not from local horizontal.
All right,
Okay.
let me here real quick. All right.
You could do this with a simple protractor, or just take your arm and point it at a 30-degree angle and go up 1,000 feet. Tell me if your arm is pointed at the same thing. It won't be.
Yes, it's still pointing at.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Anyway, Gary.
Oh my God, you guys are dumb.
Gary. So, I don't know where in California you are. So I went from Northern California. Yes, right. So from your location to where the sun would be above the equator on the opposite side of the flat Earth, that will be an estimation about 9,533 miles, right? So at midnight, your sun, if the sun is 4,000 miles above the flat Earth, it should be 22 degrees above the horizon. So the math don't lie, Gary.
Okay, let's try. Let me just try another point. Right, if you're at the beach and you're measuring the elevation angle of the sun from the horizon using a sextant, perhaps, and you have in your manual a dip correction. You go up 1,000 feet and you measure the angle from the horizon. You also have a greater dip correction to get to the elevation angle from your local horizontal. Yeah, the angle from the visible horizon plus dip gives you the angle from your local horizontal. And if you change it by 1,000 feet, you change the dip by about 1,000 feet and you will end up with the same elevation angle from local horizontal, which local horizontal and zenith are fixed to each other at 90 degrees. So zenith angles and elevation angles from local horizontal, functionally the same because they're just minus 90. So that's why I questioned when you said elevation angle, I said from what? Because you didn't say from the horizon, you said elevation angle, and I asked for clarity. Is that from the visible horizon or your local horizontal?
I very clearly said you're standing on the beach. I made it very simple for you. And actually, I think I said it several times. You simply look at the horizon. You take the elevation over the horizon. You go up 1,000 feet. It's not going to be the same angle anymore. You're going to have to adjust that, aren't you? Even though all you did was go up 1,000 feet, you changed your field of view. And that's my point about the field of view affects how you can measure things far away. And the only way you can do it is if you pretend there's a curve and refraction and put that all into your equations rather than just compression of your field of view. Simple perspective.
Yeah, that's why I went to this sextant manual, and when I'm at 1,000 feet, I get a greater dip angle to get my elevation angle.
Yeah, so you agreed with me that going up 1,000 feet would change your angle, right? You agreed with me.
Yes, I did, to the visible horizon. But that's not the definition. Well, then
you're making my point.
No, that's not the definition of elevation angle. Elevation angles are from a local horizontal.
My horizon would be a different horizon. Obviously, it'd be much further out in the distance if I was up 1,000 feet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then my angle, if I was standing on a platform there and I took the sextant and I took another elevation angle of the sun over the horizon, right? That angle would be completely different than when I was on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you just took your measurements that you thought, okay, the sun is, or let's pretend it was Polaris. Let's just go back to Polaris. It's easier to figure. You go to Polaris, you say, okay, it's at a 30-degree angle. I go up. Now it's not a 30-degree angle anymore. It's some different angle. Now I pretend my distance to the North Pole is this, and the distance from there to Polaris straight up is this, and you add it in your equations. You'd get two different equations, right? And of course, you're going to tell me you would have to check. You would have to put in your dip correction and your refraction and your whatever for the radius. You'd have to put it all in your equations because you don't know how. You can't understand why you're not seeing a certain amount of space between the ground and the angle you think it would be if it was just a straight up elevation from a tree close by me.
It goes back to my point. It goes back to why I asked for the clarification. If you defined elevation angle as above a visible horizon, and I said, is that from a local horizontal or the visible horizon? And you clarified from the visible horizon. And I said, but elevation angles are defined from local horizontal and or zenith.
Can I ask you a question, Larry?
Simple elevation and distance to the North Pole. I get two different distances just by going up 1,000 feet, right?
Can I ask you a question, Gary?
Right after this guy, I want him to answer the question.
The angle would only be different to the visible horizon, not from your local horizontal.
And if you did your calculations from distance to the North Pole and the distance to Polaris or whatever, you would get two different distances, wouldn't you?
Right. Could I just make a very quick point? Now, when you set up an equatorial mount for a telescope, your elevation or your altitude. Can you hear me? Your elevation or your altitude.
Hello? Okay. Was I cut off or was somebody else cut off? Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes, we hear you, Gary.
I couldn't hear anybody.
John is speaking.
Right.
No,
okay.
I couldn't hear anybody.
Okay, shut up and let him talk now.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying is, when you set up an equatorial telescope mount, there are lots of things that matter. One thing that doesn't matter at all is your elevation or your altitude. If you say you set up an equatorial mount at sea level, and you set up an equatorial mount at 3,000 feet up a mountain, Polaris, for me, is still going to be exactly 56 degrees. Right?
No. If you let's say you set up your telescope on the ground, your EQ mount, aimed at Polaris, right? You had it set up, you aimed it. Now you go up, that it's not going to be aimed any longer at it. You would have to change your angle.
Yes, you would.
Right? If it was 30, if you were at 30 degrees on the ground, it's not going to be 30 degrees when you're 1,000 up.
Yes,
it will.
Gary, this is my whole,
no,
my whole point.
Oh, it won't be.
This is my whole point.
You will not be able to
set up. Coming from somebody who's never.
The only variable that is going to change the angle to Polaris is your latitude, not your elevation or altitude. That's a rock solid fact.
No, your latitude lines are based on perspective angles from sea level. So if you go up 1,000 feet, you're not going to. If you're on 30 degrees latitude, you're not going to. And you go up 1,000 feet. That 30 degrees is based on sea level. If you go up 1,000 feet straight up, you're going to have it at something other than a 30-degree angle.
Well, that's because Polaris. No, we won't, and that's because Polaris
yes, you will.
is not only 3,000 miles above the surface of the Earth.
You would have to adjust the telescope when you went up 1,000 feet.
No,
I'd like to have a chance to
Polaris is not only 3,000 miles above the surface of the Earth. That's where you're getting things wrong.
It doesn't matter. Even in your model, it won't work. In my model,
all right, Gary, I think you keep on. Hold on, Gary, please. You keep on avoiding the argument about the fact that local horizontal. If I set my device up to local horizontal, not paying attention to where the horizon is, I'm going to set it up to local horizontal.
Give me your definition of local horizontal.
Up and down as
give me your definition of local horizontal first. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. What do you mean by that?
You're just going to actually have to talk over me because you want to avoid actually talking about.
No, I want to know
we're
your
talking about
definition, so when I
local
answer, I can answer you
horizontal. Now,
properly.
wait,
What's
I'm
your
sorry.
definition of
My
local
sentence
horizontal?
interfering with the beginning of
Okay,
yours.
I'm not going to answer him until he
I'm
gives a
not
definition
sure
before he
whether my
explains it.
sentence
Gary,
is
you gotta,
interfering with
Gary, you
yours.
gotta stop talking, man. You gotta stop talking, Gary. Let him finish.
I need a definition, otherwise I can't answer his question when he finishes. What does he mean by local horizontal?
Well, we
All
can
right.
talk
All
about
right.
that
What
in
we're going,
10
what we're
minutes,
going
and
to
you
do
haven't
is then. What we are going to do then is allow Mojok to ask his full question, and then at the end, if you don't understand a word, ask him when he's done. Don't interrupt him because you don't understand a word. Wait till the end. Go ahead, Mojok.
Okay, so we have local horizontal, which is established using the up and down, zenith, whatever method you want to use, a bubble level, a bubble sextant, whatever, local, right where you are, level. That level will not change. If you use that, you will not have the angle to the sun change one iota for any position you take and any altitude you change to. Now, that is what I need you to address specifically. If you're still confused about local, I think I defined it.
No, I'm not confused at all. If you're on the ground, you're gonna change your local level by going up, aren't you?
No.
Yes.
No. Okay, let me ask you this. If I'm standing on top of a tower, a radio tower, and I get a bubble level and I make it level, will it be parallel to the bubble level on the ground?
Here, I'm going to give you an example. There's a telephone pole in front of me. So let's say I'm standing at the bottom. I'm sitting here in a chair on my front porch. I can take an elevation angle to the top of the pole from right where I'm at, right? Now let's say I go up 10 feet. Is my angle going to be the same to the top of the pole as it was when I was sitting on my chair?
Yes.
Nope, of course not.
You're at the bottom of the pole?
Of course not. But
he had a good
question. He had a good question you totally ignored. Would a bubble level at the top of the tower and a bubble level at the bottom of the tower be parallel? The answer was yes, but you didn't even bother.
So please address that. It's the same level, no matter how high
Not
I
one
go
of you
up.
guys have answered my question yet. You avoided it, and then you changed the subject slightly because you can't answer the question. What with my question just now? Would I get a same elevation angle if I went up 10 feet? As when I'm sitting on my chair on the ground.
How far is
Left
the
answered no. Moyak, I think, is answering no as well, right, Moyak?
Correct.
Sometimes people avoid answering the question if it leads to logic that they don't want to accept. Just answer for them and let the conversation move.
The problem is we avoid answering
Otherwise, they'll
stupid
obfuscate you to
questions.
death.
Otherwise, we answer stupid questions that lead to stupid conclusions.
If I'm standing right under the light post, and I
The
look
point
up,
is angles to things in the sky are changed by elevation
Can I
and distance,
finish?
and they don't match up to what
Let me
you should
finish.
measure.
Wait,
If
Let me reiterate his question real quick. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Hold on,
If I'm standing under the light post and it's 90 degrees above me, and I go up on a ladder 10 feet, but I'm in the same exact location, guess what? The light post is still 90 degrees above me.
No, okay.
That's a good example.
Well, if it's 90 degrees
Not
above
only for
you,
90
you
degrees
wouldn't be
is
able to go
zenith,
any
though,
higher
Bill. If
because
it's
you
any
would go
angle
into the
other than that,
telephone
no.
Wait, stop.
Listen,
What he's saying is,
let's
if I'm looking at
let's simplify it to what, and put one question out there, and let's just simplify it. Okay, at the top of a 500-foot radio tower, you put up a carpenter's level and get it nice and level, and at the bottom of the 700-foot tower, you put up a carpenter's level and get it nice and level. Are those two carpenter levels parallel?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Let me say, hold on, really quick. So what he's saying is, if we're looking at a star, we take an angle to the star from the ground, right? Let's say it's 30 degrees. We go up 1,000 feet and take another angle to that star. It's still going to be 30 degrees because that star is really, really far away. It's not 1,000 feet in front of us.
It's not going to be the same angle.
That's what my point was.
Your horizon is going to be different, and your angle to that star will be different.
3,000
But
feet. Or miles.
But the point we're trying to make, Gary, your level is still going to be the same. Your
So
local
you're
level,
saying that
local
the change would be negligible.
No, the change would be zero.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unmeasurable.
Your local level does not change with elevation.
So the theory is correct that the angle would change, but you're saying in practice it's so negligible, it's basically still 30 degrees up or down with the change in elevation. Okay, we'd have to try this and see if we get an appreciable change of like a degree or something. Let's try it.
No, you won't get a degree, for fuck's sake.
Hold on, if the star is freaking 300 light years away, no, you're not going to see a change at all.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If I remember right,
we should never have to adjust our elevation angles to sea level, right? We should never have to adjust it. Why would we have to adjust for dip if that's the case?
Airplanes taking celestial nav, don't worry about this.
Your local level doesn't change.
And they're much more than 1,000 feet up.
Why is Beeble being overtalked every single time he's trying to say something?
I'm sorry. I think I was overtalked. I was just trying to say that your local level doesn't change with elevation. That's all. Go ahead.
Well, if you're talking about
you're talking over me. Come on, man. I try to say something and you guys start talking over me every time I say something. So, here's the deal. Yes, that light post, if I go right underneath it, and I'm looking straight up, and I go 10 feet in the air above where I was just standing, it's still 90 degrees above me. If I move back, but I stand on that ladder still, yes, the angle is going to change from that to the light post, from the ground to the top of the light post will change. But the problem is the flat earthers are assuming that Polaris is only 10,000 miles or less above the surface of the Earth. And in that case, they are correct. The angle would change if Polaris was only that far away. But it's not. It's further.
But that's the only justified assumption we can make, Leo. Because if you're going to use triangles and trig, the moment you go past 45 degrees where you would have a 45, 45, 90 triangle and two sides that are equal, that's going to confine how big one of the sides of your triangle can be. You're going to get the biggest side at that point for 45 degrees, which is going to make it max out based off of one side of the triangle being the diameter of the Earth or the radius of the Earth. It's going to make your triangle max out automatically at 3 to 4,000 miles high, because it's the only triangle that's available with that side in a 45, 45, 90 triangle scenario. At that point, you're committed, Leo, to a triangle that has sides that are no more than 3 to 4,000 miles high if you're going to justify the trig at all in any sort of geometric
So here is a fact. If I am staying right under the GP of the Polaris and I'm looking up, I get a 90-degree angle. If we could move Mount Everest to the GP of Polaris, and I'm staying on the top of Mount Everest, I would still get a 90-degree angle.
But most of the angles that they talk about, Leo, aren't 90 degrees.
Right.
They're talking about a Polaris dipping 1 degree per 69 miles.
Great.
It's a bad example. Get over it.
And the elevation of Polaris not changing based on my elevation.
Yeah,
okay, then Leo, we're going to have to go get a 45-degree angle. At that point, you have the biggest side that's available based off of the triangles that are available with a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Your sides can be no bigger than the side that you get at 45 degrees. So whenever Polaris is at 45 degrees and you're that far away from Polaris, you're locked into a distance that is no further than that based off of trig, unless these are non-geometric, non-trigonometric triangles.
They're triangles. They're not triangles. Solnab doesn't use triangles.
Lemon, why do you stuck to the 45 degrees? What's so special about 45 degrees?
That's the biggest side that you can get. After that, it decreases, and up to that point, it increases up to whatever side you get.
So it's not the biggest side you can get, right?
Right triangle trig.
But it's not the biggest side you can get. Again, it's not the biggest side, because you said if you get a bigger angle, it will increase. So why are you stuck to 45? Let's go to 89.
It's because that's all he knows is a 45, 45, 90. He doesn't
Past
know trig.
that, gentlemen, you're going to have two triangles that are available. You're going to have, say, at 30 degrees. You could have a 30, 60, 90 or a 60, 30, 90 triangle. It could get bigger or smaller, but it's going to fluctuate around that 45-degree, angle side, which is going to be like the midpoint between the values that it could fluctuate between. But at that point, you have two possible triangles. You don't have a geometric triangle with one side to one angle. At that point, it's much less certain. You have two possible triangles at that point.
Lemon, the point is that doesn't matter what the angle is, that we should measure the same elevation of Polaris always.
Lemon, you have a basic problem. You don't understand celestial navigation. It is not based on
I understand
triangles.
enough to see that it's flat.
It is not
I understand
based on
enough.
triangles. It is based on the
Of
angles
course,
to the
it's based
stars.
off of triangles.
No, it is
I
not.
mean, anytime you have
based on
3 points,
triangles.
triangles implicit.
Once again, Lemon, celestial navigation is not based on triangles.
Okay, then why do they talk about being 69 degrees miles per degree? They're trying to convert those degrees into triangles that give you some sort of distance or some sort of mappable distance.
No,
because you trilaterate. That's the formula. 60 nautical miles per 1 degree. You draw a circle, not a triangle, a circle of equal altitude.
And triangles are implicit the moment you have at least 3 points.
No.
At least 3 points, you're going to have a triangle that's implicit.
No, sorry, incorrect. Because what you do is you draw a circle of equal altitude or a circle of equal elevation to the star, a circle of equal angles might be a better way to put it. And then you have to take 3 of them. And I mean, you have no idea what you're talking about. You really don't.
I have enough of an idea to figure out that it's flat.
No,
and a circle
you
can have a
don't,
bunch of
sir.
triangles within the circle too. So basically, we're kind of saying the same thing.
No, we're not.
But anyway, past 45 degrees, gentlemen, you have multiple triangles that are going to be all over the place, and it's really hard to justify your geometry and your trig. 45 degrees is like the highest range. Beyond that, you're just getting a bunch of weird assumptions.
Now he doesn't know what he's talking about. For
I
fuck's
know
sake, Lemon.
enough.
No, you don't. You don't know enough to know that you should, but you know enough to think you're right, but you don't know enough to know you're wrong.
What else do you have to do? You have to assume that the Earth moves millions of miles
how
through
come I'm
space.
getting interrupted me? You are right at the top of Mount Stupid on the
Yeah, but you're going personal. I feel quite comfortable interrupting that.
I'm not being
Otherwise, I'm going to be just slashing with
because
my
you're
claws
wrong.
as well. But
Well,
the thing
fine, I'm
is,
being personal. You're
you
wrong,
can just
Lemon.
easily assume that the Earth is moving millions of miles through space to exaggerate your triangles for your parallax and stuff like that. But we don't see evidence to prove it. Based off of the notion that the Earth is a flat, motionless plane, and the distances that we can clock beyond 45 degrees, we don't really get more than 3 to 5,000 miles for the objects that are up in the sky. We can't justify anything else.
45 because you know the angles. You can do it at any. That's the problem. It doesn't work. Your triangles doesn't work with celestial navigation. Will not work with triangles. Cannot work with triangles. And you are just totally wrong, sir.
Lemon,
you go right back to triangles. I bet the next word out of his mouth will be triangle. Watch.
Lemon, in which geometry book you read that if we go above 45 degrees, we get arbitrary result or whatever you said?
Well, if you go past 45 degree angles, Chaiki, you're going to need to break
where did
the
you
radius
read
of
it?
the Earth that we
Or
have
did
on
you
file and
make
break the
this shit
distances
up?
that we have on file. So you
Where did
can't
you get
really
it from,
justify
Lemon?
anything else beyond 45
Lemon,
degrees.
where did you get
really
it
can't.
from? Where did you read this?
Logic.
Thing?
Logic.
Ah,
And
logic.
also
So you
Parallax
made
was
this
talking
shit
about
up.
the
So I made
impossibility
this
of
shit
these
up.
measures back in the 18th century. Parallax, robot.
Your logic
people
is
were talking about stuff.
broken beyond repair, Lemon.
So anyway, the moment you get a 45 degree angle to the object, Chaiki, you're committed because you have two sides that are equal with a 45, 45, 90 triangle at that point. You're 3,000 miles from the subsolar point at 45 degrees. That means that the object must be 3,000 miles up from the subsolar point up to the object as well, using 45.
Yeah,
45.
if Earth is flat, yeah.
But then you go to 30 degrees and you can figure that out. You go 60 degrees, you can figure that out. And guess what? It's at 3 different altitudes, at 3 different places at the same time. How's that possible?
Obviously, the sun is circling out of the neighborhood. Your triangulation is only worth a damn as long as you can see the sun in the neighborhood before it circles too far away due to perspective. Otherwise, your triangulations are going to be all over the place within a couple hours.
I got a question for Gary. If, as I assert here in my image I just posted, if I got 30 degrees going up in the Burj Khalifa, and I went and I brought my level device and I found local level at the bottom of the building, the middle of the building, and the top of the building, 1,400 feet difference, would I see the sun looking like this? And if I did, or if you did find that it was 30 degrees for all those, what would that do to your thought process?
I can't see your picture. Where's it at?
Daily Boom Uncensored, last photograph up, I think. Okay, third one back now.
Okay, what about it?
Okay, I have a carpenter's level there, and I'm establishing level at 0, halfway up the tower, and the top of the tower. And I'm going to now measure to the sun, and I get 30 degrees at all 3 of those locations in a 1,400-foot tall building. or tower or whatever you want. Would that surprise you? First off,
I'd have to see the whole thing. Your little picture here doesn't convince anybody of anything. You're pointing at three different suns, and you guys accuse me of having different Polarises. You got three different suns here.
No, that's the problem. Is that I will see it at 30 degrees from each of those locations.
No, look at your picture. You got three different elevations for your sun. Your picture is pointless.
Elevation.
No, it isn't the same elevation. You
Yes,
got three different. You're pointing at three different suns there in your picture.
Because it's parallel. The rays are parallel, you idiot.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you guys say my Polaris one doesn't work because I have, according to you, Polaris had different elevations. And look at your picture right here. That's exactly what you're doing.
The scale, for fuck's sake. The sun is 93 million miles away.
You know what? Your picture here is not right. It has three different suns.
You're arguing about the picture. Let's talk about the findings. I go up there, I take my device, and I measure with my sextant at the ground level, it's a bubble sextant. So it only works from local level. Now, I go up that tower. I'm going to find that sun is 30 degrees at all locations. You draw whatever implications you want from what that means, whether there's three separate suns or that the sun's really far away. You can draw whatever you want. But if I go up that tower and I saw 30 degrees at all three of those locations, would that break your brain?
Okay, your picture broke your brain.
Doesn't matter my picture.
Let me go. Okay, it's my turn. Shut up. Please be quiet. Okay, take your bottom level there. Okay, you got your observation place. Observation area. You're looking at the sun. You got a 30-degree angle, right? You're looking at the bottom sun right there. You got three suns in this picture. But we're going to leave that sun right where it's at because that's where it is. Now you take that observer, move them up to that second deck, and put that line to the same point of that bottom sun. Is it the same angle? No. Let him go to the top one, and he still points to that first sun because according to you, the sun has to be in the same place. You can't have three different elevations. So you're going to have a completely different angle once again.
Gary, now let's take it. I'm highly confident that my numbers are correct, that it will give the same answer.
I don't care what your numbers are. Your whole picture here is the weight. You got three suns.
Can I be excused as the middle of whatever, I interrupt. I have to interrupt because I got to find a window. Big shout out. We have some cowbell from John Rapp. $2 Thank you, John Rapp. Lemon Bird is broken. Really needs some duct tape. That was a very important emergency comment that I had to throw there. And that came in also with cows and cowbell. I'm actually going to repeat that. There you go. Just for y'all. It's simple math, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. So, Gary, if I went up the tower, now I'm taking my suns out of the image since you seem too simple to actually understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to take the images out.
Okay, you know what? If you're going to talk like that to me, I just won't talk to you.
I look at the ground level and I see that it's 30 degrees at the ground, middle, and top of that tower. You have to decide why that is. Aww. He doesn't like when people are rude to him.
You are such a condescending prick. How dare you? Now, to make your brain explode, I am showing an image of a condescending. There you go. Boom. Just for you all. Thank you very much. It's about time. I mean, we are that was a good way to wrap it up pretty much. Now just happy and thrilled because I got the seal of approval from Anamorphic Mind with the condescending. I appreciate it, Anamorphic Mind. Thank you very much to Anamorphic. Big shout out to Mr. Victory and also Nerd Alert for helping me out out. Hey, cow and cowbell. We had the cow and the cowbell. Hell yeah. This super chat is for Gary. I want him to feel at home. All we need now is a banjo, says Brad Wegner with a $4.99 super chat. Brad Wegner, that needs to be repeated again. What did we get? The music was for free just now. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for today for the super chats, and I got a few PayPal hits, but the most important thing is that you all were here in the Discord server, the Daily Boom, and you were able to speak up to each other, be heard, and have a little bit of fun and entertainment, having opposite views, which that's the most interesting thing to have over here. This is the place for that, to come in and just open the panel to have a few little bit of a shit shows and a laugh here or there, no matter who is coming from. I want to thank everybody that hit the thumbs up on YouTube land, and I want to hit those who shared the show, even though I don't know if anybody even shared the show today. So you guys, when the show starts, I tell you to share the show. That's to copy the link and throw it in the different Discords and Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. We had a poll earlier, a poll on the chat box, and we have 63 votes. Very good. Lemon says, that's the vote. The poll was Lemon says, it appears with 11%. I'll go with 14%. Smooching, a 14%. But the big winner, Lemon says, or whatever, 60% of the votes. Dude, big one. Thank you very much to Lemon Bird for inspiring me to put this poll up. Let's do a round of final thoughts. We will begin. If anybody want to join, hopefully the combo will continue to be happening on the Daily Boom Discord server. Hopefully everybody will speak and allow others to speak and not say, shut up, go away, I don't want to hear you. I hope that doesn't happen, because I'm opening the panel for people to talk to each other, not for some people to tell others to shut up. You know what I mean? I mean, if that person is just talking constantly and never stopping, that's fair to say, like, hey, dude, shut up for a minute, let me talk. But don't tell them to shut up and go away. That's no, man. Come on. Give me a break. Let's do some final thoughts. Bacon, he's in the house.
Hey.
Also, that's you. Go ahead.
I was just complimenting you.
Thank you. Hope you had fun, man. Bro Alem, you were so quiet today. Did you feel offended when I told you to shut the fuck up and provide evidence for the time shift on this rotation of Earth? Give us your final thoughts.
Shut the fuck up. Boom. No, it's cool. I just thought it was entertaining. The semi-dumpster fire there, and Gary got wrecked. And I liked it. That was fun. And so what was the point? Yeah, triangles have 3 points, not one. That's all. Boom.
Boom. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. John Watson. Everybody, let's try to keep it short, 30 seconds or less, and everybody will have a go. Watson, what you got?
Firstly, and most important, I suppose, I just want to say I didn't think that your banjo impression was very good. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but it needs some work. But yeah, I'm still kind of shocked that Gary thinks that the angle to stars, for example, changes with elevation. That really blows my mind. Yeah, but yeah, it was nice listening in, and thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much. I always expect when the show is up and rendered for people to leave comments in the comment section, and the first comment, if it's YouTube friendly and if it's not a spam comment, will be pinned above. And if you go to the comment section, in order so you want to get your comment pinned, and it's already a comment pinned, don't just go away. Just leave a comment next to it. It's okay. C4, shout out to C4, the bro Gary. If you got some final thoughts, stop us and holler. Chike, final thoughts.
Very good show. I learned something new today. Latitude lines are based on perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Earth is live. Final thoughts.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, good show, Jose. To piggyback off of what John was saying, it's pretty amazing, especially when somebody who doesn't know about the subject tries to assert what they think is true, and which is clearly not true. Yeah. Anyway, good show. I'll be listening. Also, don't forget, everyone. I posted a video to the debate between Professor Dave and David White. You have to watch it. I haven't watched the whole thing, but from what I've seen so far, it's hilarious. But anyway, good show, Jose.
Thank you very much, Earth is live. Appreciate it. Gary Benga, final thoughts.
Hey, I finally agreed with Chaiki on something. Latitude lines are perspective angles based on sea level. There is a reason that you have to adjust for sea level versus if you're 1,000 feet up, because your measurements will not be the same.
Thank you very much. I didn't announce it's 82 fucking degrees here, but I got a long sleeve shirt. I don't even know why I'm sweating, but it's for the mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are brutal over here. So if I don't leave the sleeves on, I mean, they will beat me up. I don't have any spray off or nothing. So, whoo, gotta go buy me some off for the mosquitoes. I gotta, start freshening up a little bit. It's fucking hot, Florida. J-Mac, final thoughts.
81 here, Jose. It's mosquito season. That was painful between the just incredible arrogance and then the on one side and the speed gibberish on the other. Ooh, that was tough. Thank you for providing a place for it, though. Thanks, Jose.
Happy to do it, man. Happy to help, brother. Thank you for coming. Larry in the house for final thoughts.
Well, it's just such a clown act to where it's so apparent that they have not tested any of their assertions, particularly when he says, oh yeah, if you go straight up like on a tower and you're measuring an elevation angle, we couldn't even agree on the elevation angles from local horizontal or from zenith. They just make stuff up and insist they're correct. They would last 5 seconds in a commercial environment because they would insist on things that don't work. It's just cringe. Boom.
Boom. Thank you very much. Mr. Victory has some final thoughts. And I quote, or whatever. Thank you very much, Mr. Victory. Appreciate that. Thank you for hooking me up with some good memes on the Daily Boom. Left Lane, final thoughts.
Great show, Jose. I've been busy sitting in the background, but I did learn that not only are some people scared of very big numbers, they're also scared of very little numbers today. And how do people think the Earth is flat? If you're wrong about just about everything you say, you could think the Earth is flat. Thanks, Jose.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Left Lane. Appreciate it. Mojogman, final thoughts.
Well, contrary to what our learned colleague, Mr. Wybanga says, it seems like you do not need to make any adjustments when you use a bubble sextant for altitude. You can go up to any altitude you want, and including airplanes, and there's no adjustment made for the dip correction. It's not required. Dip correction is only to get you to level or local level. It's only to determine local level. That is all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mandevil, that means no stupid people. Yeah, I got it backwards over here. You guys see, if you guys are seeing my camera, you see this the correct way. YouTube is seeing it mirrored. So that means no warning, no stupid people beyond this point. There you go. Shout out to Mandevil. John Rapp! John Rapp wants to get me off with a 2 Australian super chat. Ring, ring the cowbell. Bring it on. Bring it on. Moo, moo. Indeed. Thank you very much, John Rapp, for the $2 super chat to Australians. FTC's final thoughts.
It's flat. Math can't really be justified trigonometrically with these angles and these sides beyond 45 degrees. Beyond that, you're going to need to make additional assumptions that invalidate some of the prior mathematical assumptions that you already made about the distance and stuff like that. So at that point, either we're going to have to drop the ball or just keep on making excuses for it. So as far as I can see, it's a flat, motionless plane.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Snesley Wipes, final thoughts. I'm doing some perspective over here, forced perspective as you guys speak. Final thoughts, man.
Yeah, I haven't really been listening to the whole show because it's my birthday today. I've been doing other stuff. But
Happy
yeah,
birthday, bro. Why you didn't tell me, man?
Thank you. But no, some hilarious things happened. I mean, it's like Lemon Bird and his space plankton. That had me in stitches. It was a fun show. It is a fun show.
Thank you very much. These two globes are almost exactly the same size. This is incredible. John Watson just gave me a £5 super chat right at the tail end of the show for the banjo impression lessons. All right, let's see, John Watson. How can we get this as the cow moo and the cowbell sounds? Here we go. Where is the cow? Where's the cowbell? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Shout out to the Globy Earth. Shout out to the frogs. Final thoughts, any of you? Love it. Thank you, baby frog. So cute. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Mob it.